NASCAR Xfinity Series getting ready for their 10th race of the year. So let's recap what's happened so far. Season opener at Daytona. First career win for Ryan Reed.
Up with Atlanta, Kevin Harvick dominates the second half of that race.
Austin Dillon was amazing on a last lap move that won that race for him. Then Logano takes Phoenix.
Kevin Harvick, no doubt about it. When we went to Auto Club Speedway, he got the checkered flag.
How about a new winner? Eric Jones wins at Texas.
How about lead every lap? That's what Joey Logano did at Bristol. And then Denny Hamlin, 248 of them at Richmond. Amazing performances by those kids.
Joey Logano said, I've won twice. I'll go ahead and make it 3 times. An exciting run to the checkers as he was able to win it at Talladega Super Speedway a couple of weekends ago. So good to have you with us on a Sunday afternoon at Iowa Speedway for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Let's go ahead and open up our clipboard. 7 of 9 races so far in 2015 won by Sprint Cup regulars, but they're not here today. That's good news for those running for a championship in the Xfinity Series. And when it comes to Iowa, you know the action is going to be good because this is, in fact, a racy little short track. Hey, everybody, welcome again with Michael Waltrip, Phil Parsons. I'm Adam Alexander, and our clipboard said it there. No Cup regulars. That means huge opportunities for these guys running for a title in the Xfinity Series.
It really does. A lot of times when the Cup guys are here, you talked about Logano leading all the laps at Bristol. They dominate these races. We've had 2 of our regulars win this year for their first career win. How about Ryan Reed with that big win at Daytona, and Eric Jones with probably the first of many in the Xfinity Series at Texas. But this is going to be a great opportunity for one of these other guys possibly to get their first win. How about maybe somebody like Bubba Wallace or maybe Brian Scott, who has been so close so many times, or maybe Daniel Suarez starting up on the front row.
There's going to be so much good racing, Phil. This place is racy. You can drive 3, even 4 wide, and there's a bump down in turn 1. We heard Kenny Wallace talking about it in the pre-race show. These cars actually almost leave the ground hitting that bump. Eric Jones starting in the back, he's going to spoil, in my opinion, all these plans of people getting their first win. He's going to be tough today, Adam.
250 laps, so much to watch. We'll get the green flag momentarily. Now we get the command.
It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome the Grand Marshal for today's NASCAR Xfinity Series 3M250, 3M Knoxville Plant Manager, Tresinda Yaw.
Hello, Iowa Speedway! Welcome to the 3M250s! Drivers, start your engines!
Safe to say everyone in Iowa is fired up about the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Now our track description and race analysis for today's 250-lapper.
This is one of our newer racetracks. This racetrack was built just several years ago with the progressive banking, which we see a lot nowadays. But really, as you mentioned earlier, Michael, really a racy racetrack.
Everybody talks about how much they'd like to have more short tracks on the circuit. This is a perfect short track. Adam speeds upwards of 160 miles an hour entering the corners on a short track. That's amazing.
And I look at that fuel window. 90 to 95 laps, that's big, and something we'll keep an eye on here because a lot of long green flag runs when it comes to racing for the Xfinity Series here at Iowa Speedway. Yesterday, a busy day for Xfinity teams. Couple of practice sessions, qualifying late in the afternoon. With that, we look at our starting lineups. Eric Jones, driver change there after Drew Herring qualified the 20. He drops to the rear.
How about Drew Herring getting the pole and hasn't been in a race car in a year and a half?
That's pretty good. Saw one of the drivers making his first career start. Brandon Jones, good qualifying effort yesterday, driving for Richard Childress.
Watch that 5th row. Elliott Sadler and Ty Dillon, both really fast cars here in Iowa.
Brennan Poole made the final round of qualifying. He drops to the rear. Ben Rhodes, another driver, making his career debut.
Yeah, keep an eye on Ryan Blaney back there in that row with him.
John West Townley, solid this year. He'll have a good run. David Starr, good starting run for him.
Opportunity for Jeremy Clements on a short track. Ryan Seed. And there's Boris Said, second start of the year, driving that 54 car.
Cale Connolly with some K&N experience here at this racetrack.
Also made an Xfinity start last year here, driving for Richard Childress Racing. And Eric McClure back with TriStar Motorsports.
How about the Onion? Ty Bodine going to make a pretty rare Xfinity start back in row number 15.
Joey Gase. What a run at Talladega. That was so fun to watch.
See the rest of the starting lineup. B.J. McLeod, one of the 4 drivers that ran the truck race on Friday night at Charlotte, made the trip to Iowa for this afternoon's event. And Kenny Wallace going shotgun on the field in a backup car after crashing during practice yesterday. He's one of those drivers going to the rear, and there is a long list of drivers going to have to make up some ground early.
And this is good for TV because those are some pretty good cars. You got Eric Jones, of course, on the pole. Kenny Wallace will be good here in Iowa. Brennan Poole always charges to the front, too. So I'm looking forward to seeing this field scrambled up when they throw the green.
Brennan Poole made the last round in qualifying, qualified 12th.
Let's hop on board that 42 car. What do y'all think? That's a DC Solar car for Brennan Poole. He's starting in the 12th position. He's from the Woodlands in Texas, and this is his first Xfinity start here in Iowa.
How about Ty Dillon there in the red cap Chevrolet for Richard Childers Racing? Huge win last year at Indy for Ty Dillon. Our point leader coming in here.
Let's hop up inside the top 10 to the 6th spot. This is Chase Elliott in the Polaris onboard camera. He's running 6th. He's 19 years old out of Dawsonville, Georgia. He's never finished outside of the top 10 on a short track, but he's never won either.
How about the Ford onboard for Chris Buescher? Runner-up right now in the point standings, 2 Ty Dillon. Always good on the short tracks, 1 on the road course last year at Mid-Ohio.
The cars have rolled off the pit lane. With that, let's go from the driver's seat. Today we hear from Chase Elliott. Mikey?
Hey, Chase Elliott, it's Michael Waltrip up in the Fox Sports booth 1. You got us? Maybe he's confused because I said it wrong. Hey, Chase Elliott, it's Michael up in the Fox Sports booth. Did you hear me, buddy?
We changed the channels.
All right, I'll chase over. Hey, Chase Elliott, it's Michael Waltrip up in the Fox Sports booth. You hear me, bud? I'd say overall this...
You got walked on right there, Chase. I didn't hear what you were saying there at the end.
All right, so while we sort out from the driver's seat, we hope to talk to Chase in a moment. We know we can always rely on our pit reporters. Vince Welsh, Hermie Sadler making the trip with us from Charlotte. Let's start things out with Vince. What's going on, buddy?
Well, we're going to try not to blow away down here. The wind is really strong. Several drivers have mentioned that they think that could be a factor today, along with the bumps on this track. You know, we've talked about a lot of potential winners today, but one we've not mentioned is the 7 of Regan Smith. He hasn't won yet this season, hasn't won since Daytona to start off the year last season, but they have been very close, and they feel like they're real close to a breakthrough victory. That could come today. Don't count out the 7. Expect them to be fighting for it at the end. Let's go to Hermie Sadler.
Well, Vince, whoever wins today, it'll be a good call by the crew chief. This year's race, only 4 sets of tires to run this race. The set on the car now, 3 down here on pit road. That's roughly about 62 laps per set of tires. There is a competition caution scheduled for lap 50. So not only what your driver does on the racetrack, but how your crew chief calls the race from the pits and how you manage your tires could go a long way towards who goes to victory lane today here in Iowa. Adam?
No doubt about it, Hermie, and certainly something we'll be following as the afternoon continues.
Let's try to hop back on board that Napa Chevy. Hey, Chase Elliott, it's Michael Waltrip in the Fox booth. Do you hear me, bud?
Yep, gotcha.
You got a lot of Napa know-how going on out there. You've never finished outside the top 10 on one of these short tracks. How do you like your car? What do you think about getting your first win of 2015?
I think we definitely love to get one today. I was pretty happy with the Napa Chevy yesterday afternoon in practice. I got a solid starting spot here in 6th, so I'm looking forward to the afternoon. Hopefully we can execute. I'll do our jobs.
Any concerns starting on the outside, or is this a track where you're comfortable with running high on the turns?
I think the outside or the bottom is okay. You know, a lot of times you don't have a choice, so you have to kind of make the most of wherever you are.
All right, take that Napa Chevy to the front and have a good day. We'll talk to you later on if that's all right.
Sir, thanks, guys.
You mentioned his numbers earlier. Chase Elliott, 8 career starts at short tracks in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, never finished outside the top 10, but Michael said it, he's never won either. And when it comes to Iowa, there is one team you really need to look at, and that would be that 22 group from Team Penske. Ryan Blaney behind the wheel today. They've won 2 of the last 3 races here, 3 of the last 5 on short tracks with 3 different drivers. Ryan, of course, Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski. We talked earlier about Joey's dominating performance, leading all 300 laps at Bristol. And as a team, 29 consecutive top 10 finishes.
Yeah, I think we have to look at them as a favorite about anywhere we go. Joey Logano won at Talladega. He dominated a couple other races this year. So that team is strong no matter where they run and no matter who they have in it.
Well, you guys were here yesterday for practice, and they didn't have a whole lot of speed, didn't qualify by that great field. Is that a cause for concern, or do you think he's got that thing figured out now?
I talked to Greg Irwin, the crew chief, before the race today, and he said that really they were a little bit tight, but intentionally, because they feel like this racetrack gets a little bit free. Forward by up off the corner is so critical, this racetrack. So he said that probably took a little bit of our qualifying speed out of it, but we feel really good about race trim.
Yeah, just talking to the guys down in the garage area, it's all about being able to get the accelerator to the floorboard and hold it up off these turns. They're sweeping, so you've got a lot of speed. We talked about 160 into the corner, average over 130 miles an hour on a lap. So you're trying to get a lot of speed off the turn. Having that car cut as you exit makes that difficult.
I don't know what the record is for cars or trucks passed in a weekend in NASCAR competition, but we could get it today. Eric Jones dropping to the rear, just like he did in Friday night's truck race. Turned out it was no problem for him.
But he passed more trucks than anybody else, that's for sure. What an outstanding run. As Michael, you said, he was leading this race in 20-some laps. He was in the top 5 in around 10 laps, and that's the great finish, losing by about 5 thousandths of a second to one of our very best, Casey Kane.
And those two both should be so proud of the job. I know Eric was so disappointed about not winning, but darn, that was good.
With Jones dropping to the rear, Brian Scott moves to the front row with Daniel Suarez. Suarez qualified second. He's the control car. We are green at Iowa.
Not a very good start down on that inside line by Brandon Jones. He held up that whole lane, and look at him. We talked about how racy this short track is. About 3 wide on lap 1, turn 2.
I think I saw almost 4 wide at one point. You can get after it here at Iowa.
And why would you wait? You've got 250 laps. Why would you wait till lap 2 to get 3 wide?
Competition caution at lap 50 today. So these teams know they've got a good little bit here where they can go out and race each other. Track position being so big, you want to get all you can on a restart, or in this instance, the start of the race. And already a caution. No cars out of shape as we look around this 7th, 8th miles facility. Perhaps some debris somewhere. We'll await word from NASCAR.
A lot of wind blowing around today, so certainly could be some debris that has made their way on the track. Or there we go.
Yep, Carl Long.
He didn't last long.
He did not. Under caution early here at Iowa Speedway. Back after a break. Under caution early at Iowa Speedway for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Let's take a look at our Ford track facts. On board here with Chris Buescher.
He's going to give that Ford a good ride. That's a talented young racer. He'll have that thing sideways, scraping the walls.
I said it early. He's driving for the right team. Jack Roush has won here 4 times.
Absolutely. How about Ricky Stenhouse? 3 of those wins.
Yeah.
For Jack Roush.
Not bad. Not bad. We'll go back green as we complete lap 5. Front row, same as it was at the start, but this time Suarez taking that inside lane as the control car outside Brian Scott.
Yeah, a lot better restart that time by Brandon Jones. Although Regan Smith's going to dive to the inside, make it 3 wide.
Jones did his job, but Regan's on a mission. He dove hard into the first corner, couldn't make that move work. But these kids learn in a hurry, don't they, Phil? That was a terrible start to the race, but a nice restart there by Jones.
Good battle here. Ryan Scott on the outside trying to hang with Suarez. Suarez has the lead.
A lot of folks in the garage area has got that 2-car circled as one of the guys you're going to have to beat today. Really strong car for Brian Scott, but Suarez is driving away from him right now.
We can't discount Suarez as we take a look at the red cap Chevrolet for Ty Dillon, the Chevrolet onboard.
I will never discount what Daniel Suarez is going to do again after that Bristol performance. Out on a short track run second, that was amazing. Ty Dillon's up on the high side, racing against Regan Smith there into 1.
Ty Dillon, that great rally late in the race at Talladega to maintain the points lead. They got beat up in every way possible. Came from outside the top 20 to finish 8th. That's why they come here tops in the championship. So far, so good. That 3-car riding along in the 8th position.
You know, when we run on the super speedways, we talk about getting aero loose on the inside of another car, like we see Ben Rhodes running there on the inside of Blaney. But still, I think that's still a big concern here at Iowa because the cars are leaning on air, running 160 miles an hour in the corner. And when you don't have that air, there's a void between the car that you're running next to. You can get loose in a hurry. So these kids are going to have to figure that out and be careful about those cars hopping around on them when they're down on the inside.
We know those kids like Ben Rhodes have some experience at this racetrack. He won the K&N combination East-West race last year here.
We'll be following the progress of Eric Jones all day long. Officially started 37th when dropping to the rear up to 21st, and he's done that in like 5 green flag laps. This kid is fast.
And let's don't forget now, not one lap in this car did he have prior to the start of the race. No trouble. Brennan Poole, who also went to the back of the pack, is out of shape.
Second caution of the day comes out 10 laps in.
And he's hit the wall with that 42 car down into turn 3. They were racing in a tight bundle back there. There were cars all over each other.
That's surprising, because the one thing we've seen out of Brennan Poole in his limited opportunities here in 2015, doesn't make many mistakes, and based on his ARCA experience, you felt like coming to a short track he'd have an opportunity for a good run today. He was 24th in the running order when he crashed.
What did he hit that was yellow? Another car?
Let's see if we can take a look.
Oh, wow.
He gets turned into the outside wall with contact. Absolutely not of his making at all.
What the heck was that all about?
Still there with Conley. Outside castle.
You don't think Gailey did that on purpose, do you?
But he was out of shape, almost as if he was recovering from someone getting into him, talking about Yaley.
Well, that certainly looked suspicious.
We got damage right front.
Couple of cautions early at Iowa. Daniel Suarez, the race leader. Then it's Scott, Busher, Elliott, and Jones. 13 laps into our 250-lapper here at Iowa Speedway for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Second caution is out because Brennan Poole hit the wall, and you guys have figured out why.
Well, there's just no, we haven't figured out why.
Well, I meant Yaley hit him and turned him. That was the why.
That's obvious here. But I think it goes back to beyond this here.
But before this, Yaley got sideways, but it was certainly, Brennan Poole didn't have anything to do with that. He just got down on the low part of the racetrack, got on the paint of the line on the corner and got sideways. And I don't know if Yaley thought that he was hit by Poole, but then that looked just like he retaliated, and there's no excuse for that.
And they were straight enough on the straightaway for Yaley not to have been out of shape at that point in time. And I remember one time at Martinsville, we had the curb at Martinsville, and I swore that Rick Wilson, my good buddy Rick Wilson, hit me and turned me around. I said, why did he do that? And I got home and watched it on TV, and I hit the curb and spun myself out.
Well, we need to figure out how that could be.
Here's what you hate for Brennan Poole. Had to start at the rear and was on the verge of working his way into the top 20, less than 15 laps into the race, and now, unfortunately, as you see, they've been on pit road for a while, a couple of laps down, and going to have to fight back all day long.
Yeah, out of contention, really, and with a lot of damage as well.
Suarez inside lane. He's led the first 14 laps today. He'll make it 15 at the start-finish line. That's when we'll get the green flag.
Great restart by Brian Scott. And here comes Regan Smith again as well. These guys know they got to jump while the getting is good on these restarts. When the cars are all bunched up, they know they can make some moves and get some spots.
Regan Smith, there he is, looking inside of Brandon Jones. Can't make it work. Crossover going outside. Right behind him, Ryan Blaney. And look at that 88. Ben Rhodes having a good run in the early going.
Yeah, hanging right in there, too. Ben Rhodes is very, very talented. K&N East champion from last year with 5 wins.
And think about the equipment he's in. He's sharing a ride this year with Casey Kane, Kevin Harvick, and Dale Jr. He spent a lot of time at the track on weekends that he wasn't racing, going to school on those guys. Started 14th today, and the Louisville, Kentucky native is up to 7.
How about Brendan Gaughan? He took a dive down in the corner underneath Ryan Blaney. Ryan's up on the high side trying to get around the 1 of Elliott Sadler.
Talked about the 88. Strong early, Vince.
Well, and not only is the driver new to this series and certainly to this track as far as the Xfinity car is concerned, but also crew chief Dave Ellens is new to this series and this track as well. And he said, I'm learning the track. My driver's learning the car. There's a lot of learning going on in that 88 camp, but so far so good. Good start for the 88.
That's where you can really fall back on your teammates. Regan Smith, all the talk in the garage was that he was one of the very best cars here, a teammate there at JR Motorsports.
And you can tell Regan knows he's got a good car, too. The way he was jumping on those restarts and now trying to take them maybe 3 wide down the back.
That's Regan Smith in the blue and gray number 7 going inside of Brandon Jones in that bright yellow machine.
Brandon Jones was fast right off the truck. I was talking to Nick Harrison, his crew chief. He said as soon as we unloaded, he said he went right up to the top of the board there. Very, very talented young man in that 33 car.
You know what I love to see, Phil? a car like Regan Smith's, that 7 car, it can just turn the corner lower than everybody else. He's really able to get that left front nose lower than the cars he's racing against, and that's proven to be quite an advantage.
We saw that Friday night with Matt Crafton in the Truck Series event at Charlotte Motor Speedway. He was able to keep that truck down a little bit. Same thing for Regan Smith right here.
What have we had? 10 laps, green flag racing. Here's Eric Jones, 37th. He's going to move up into the 15th position as he goes inside of the 51 of Jeremy Clements. But the further to the front he goes, the harder it becomes.
Yeah, it gets a little bit harder. There's a lot of good race cars. There's Ryan Reed, our Daytona winner, right in front of him.
You know,
Some really good race cars.
All the way up to the Ben Rhodes. Ben's currently running in the 7th place. There's 8 or 9 cars right there ahead of him. It could take him 20, 30 laps if he's got a really good car to be able to work through that pack.
Here's what I like, though, about their situation. A competition caution coming out at lap 50. If he could work his way into the top 10, and now we're hearing with the cautions we've had early in this race, they may push that back to lap 60. Good opportunity for him to pick off a lot of cars, get in the top 10, reestablish track position, and with that #1 pit stall, who knows how many spots they could gain in a cycle of pit stops.
And a great pit crew, too. A lot of his pit crew members are the Cup guys that came from Charlotte this morning as well.
Brandon Jones is looking to the bottom of Ben Rhodes. Talk about the kids. There they are battling. See how those cars still want to just wander up the racetrack on exit? It's really hard to turn the wheel left enough and keep your foot on the floorboard and drive up off the corner. The back end wants to slide around, so you kind of let the pressure off the wheel to the left. Next thing you know, you're up into the outside of the guy you're racing.
And that's what was harder for Brandon Jones. He was the car on the inside. He had a little bit tougher, but he has been able to make that pass on Ben Rhodes.
Chase Elliott riding 4th right now. What's going on with our defending champ, Hermie?
Well, Adam, he started in the 6th position. He's up to 4th right now. Pretty good on entry, not bad through the center. Needs a little more forward bite on the exit of the corners. He reported to crew chief Ernie Cope, and Ernie reminded him we need to let the track rubber up just a little bit more, get more of this rubber back down on the racetrack before we decide what changes we're going to make. But last couple laps have been some of his fastest laps since the drop of the green flag. So the 9 coming around, but needs a little more forward bite.
Talk about short tracks. He has been really good in his 2-year career in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Out front, Daniel Suarez. He's led every lap so far. There's an interested onlooker, Drew Herring, who qualified the 20. We set off the top today here in Iowa for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. We could see a driver get their first career victory. One of our candidates, Daniel Suarez, who started out front and has led all 32 laps. And, you know, coming into today, he had led 5 laps in his career. So certainly, so far, so good for the rookie in the Joe Gibbs Racing stables. And we should remind everyone, some added track time for him as a rookie. Not only did he have K&N experience here at Iowa Speedway, but he was a part of the Goodyear tire test here a couple of weeks ago when he turned a number of laps. So that always helps, and that's why he has been able to handle that car in practice. Started on the front row after qualifying, went well yesterday, and has been dominant in the early going. And you talk about other young guns, Darrell Wallace Jr. looking for his first career victory, riding in the 5th position. He too has been solid.
Certainly has. The only finish this year outside the top 15 was at Talladega last time out with a 20th place finish, Vince.
Yeah, they're battling for 5th there with that 3 car of Ty Dillon. Bubba Wallace says the car's just a little bit free right now. Said the track feels slick as well. Remember, they had the K&N race here last night. Then we had a pretty good rain shower, so feels like the track is different. The car is free, but so far he's moving toward the front. Started 8th, now into the top 5.
You think back to the Camping World Truck Series, and where Darrell Wallace Jr. really made a name for himself was on the short track. Wins at Martinsville, got the win at Gateway, Eldora. I mean, this kid really understands short track racing, and he's another youngster that has experience here. Ran both races in 2012 in the Xfinity Series, both resulting in top 10 finishes, even led a number of laps.
Great battle right now. Ty Dillon, that 3 car, trying to move by Bubba Wallace. We see a lot of cars out there moving up the racetrack, getting up off the bottom, trying to find some more grip up there. Ryan Blaney was probably the first one, Michael, to get up there, wasn't he?
I'm really surprised, Phil. I saw Regan Smith really able to tuck left and make some real progress by running really low on the track. But since then, they've spread out and gone everywhere. One guy that has quit making progress toward the front is Eric Jones. He ran up on Ben Rhodes there in the 88 car, got around him, but then Rhodes passed him back, and Elliott Sadler has now caught the back of Eric Jones. So, you know, when he didn't practice this car yesterday, what I've been most impressed with Jones with in the Truck Series, he can adjust on a car. He knows exactly what to ask for. And his communication with the crew chief has always been really, really first class. And Hermie, I think an adjustment or two, he might be good, but so far, not so much progress there for Eric Jones.
Yeah, Michael, he got right outside the top 10 and pretty much stalled on the racetrack. Part of the reason that is turns 1 and 2, car will not turn. That's why he's searching around for a different line to make that arc a little bit wider. 3 and 4, pretty good. He gets a good launch off turn 4, as we see, as he comes up on the back of the 88. But this turn right here, turns 1 and 2, car will not turn to his liking. So they're looking forward to getting back down to pit road first time and making some adjustments for Eric Jones.
Good battle for position here. Ryan Blaney, who started 13th, failed to make the final round of qualifying yesterday, which surprised all of us. Gradually making his way to the front, got inside of Regan Smith for the 6th position, and Darrell Wallace Jr. racing behind him with the youngster Brandon Jones.
He's not gradually making his way towards the front. He passed those 3 cars right behind him in the space of a lap and a half.
I think that just shows you the ability of Blaney. He knows how to look around. You said it, Phil. He was the highest guy running on the racetrack, and he's making that work for him, making moves. Look at the momentum right there that the 88 of Ben Rhodes gets up off that corner by keeping it wound up. Now Eric Jones said, that looked pretty good to me. I think I'll go up there and try it.
We mentioned the competition caution. The reason for that, overnight rain that washed all the rubber off of this racetrack. A lot of sunshine today. How much is this facility going to change as we run laps, rubber it up, and the sun continues to warm up this racetrack?
I think it changes quite a lot. I've noticed already the color of the track is getting darker and darker. Obviously, with the cars running all over the surface, there's not right now a perfect groove. Everybody's trying to search around and find somewhere where their car will handle better. So I'm looking forward to this first pit stop coming around lap 60 and these guys getting in there and working on their cars.
And that's why NASCAR will have a competition caution to not penalize the guys. Obviously, we had a couple 2.5 hours of practice yesterday, and all that goes out the window somewhat when we wash all the rubber off the racetrack. So I think it's a great opportunity, and because we had those 2 early cautions, they pushed it from lap 50 to lap 60 because they wanted a little bit longer run.
43 of 250 laps complete. Daniel Suarez is the race leader. Brian Scott is second. Chris Buescher is third. Chase Elliott fourth. Ty Dillon is now fifth. Let's go to Los Angeles. Jill Arrington. Busy week for everyone in the NASCAR community as NASCAR is in our backyard. Charlotte Motor Speedway hosting the back end of 10 Days of Thunder next week. And to get you ready for the longest race in the season, there's NASCAR Race Hub. Weeknights, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We got all the NASCAR news. We're on Fox Sports 1, streaming live at Fox Sports Go.
You know, a lot's gone on since we went to commercial break.
Oh, we had a couple of changes inside the top 5, including a new race leader, Chris Buescher, able to drive around Daniel Suarez for the top spot 4 laps ago.
We talked about how fast that 60 car was running around the top of the racetrack. You see Daniel Suarez down in the bottom going by the 52 of Joey Gase. And watch the momentum through the center of the corner that Buescher has. Just able to get to the throttle earlier and harder.
You know, Adam, you said a lot's going on. All of it was good, too. We're seeing a lot of good racing. Buescher around Suarez for the lead. Chase Elliott, too, got around Suarez. You can see there's Buescher on the top. That's just a lot of mixing up at the front of the field. This car is really impressive, but I like the versatility of Elliott's car. Hermie, the 9 car can drive to the bottom. We've seen the 60 car up top this whole race.
Yeah, Michael, those two definitely the fastest cars on the track right now. Closing in about 5 laps from the competition caution. Chris Buescher was the first to move around on the racetrack, especially turns 1 and 2 to gain that momentum. His car was free on entry, tight through the center, and he helped both of those problems simply by changing his line. Very impressive start to this race for the 60 of Chris Buescher.
And Hermie, he's not the only Ford that's done a good job in the early going. Buescher started 4th, has the lead. And give a call to Ryan Blaney. Qualified in the 13th position, but they've got a good long-run car riding 4th right now.
Yeah, you can see he's chewing up on the back of Daniel Suarez. We talked earlier in the Ford trackbacks how Chris Buescher would be up past, sliding sideways. He certainly has done just that. These guys, though, they need to be able to be versatile, Phil. They need to be able to go to the bottom. Look at all this traffic they're going to have to deal with. If you're just hung on the outside and that's the only place you can make your car work, you'll get hung behind a lap car and lose the lead.
Yeah, you can't be a one-trick pony here. You have to be able to move around, and Ryan Blaney has shown that he's able to do that as he chases down Suarez.
And look behind him. Great battle for position. Brian Scott, who started up front, after qualifying in the 3rd spot, has dropped back to 5th, and he's got company. Ty Dillon trying to get in the top 5 for the first time today.
Yeah, he came up there in a hurry, too. He drove in the middle of the turn and just about got inside of Brian Scott already.
Eric Jones.
Remember that glob I told you he just caught 8 or 9 cars all the way up to the 7th spot? He is still working his way in the middle and through that pack. He's made it to the top 10. That's Brendan Gaughan just ahead of him. So we expected that as he moved forward, his progress would really stall out, and it has. That's when the team needs a really great pit stop, like we saw Denny Hamlin have last night in the All-Star race, and a good adjustment to give him a bit of some help here.
And they're going to get their opportunity, because we're going to get the competition caution here in the next couple of laps. And I would say if you set a goal to come from the back inside the top 10 by the competition caution, they've got to be feeling really good about where they are as you look at Ryan Blaney going after Daniel Suarez. This is the battle for 3rd.
You know, one thing I've noticed is the pace really hasn't fallen off as much as some of the guys were thinking. They thought we would see about a second fall off. Right now we have guys like Chase Elliott can run within about a half a second of his fastest lap that he's run today as our competition caution comes out.
Again, NASCAR electing to put the caution out at lap 60 today. Give all these teams an opportunity to reset since the track was green after overnight rain in Newton, Iowa. Running order, Chris Buescher, Chase Elliott, Daniel Suarez, Ryan Blaney, Brian Scott, the top 5. Ty Dillon is 6th. Regan Smith right where he started this race in 7th. Brandon Jones, not bad early, making his career debut as 8th. Brendan Gaughan is 9th. Eric Jones, who started at the rear, driver change there. Drew Herring qualified the car for Joe Gibbs Racing yesterday. Jones has worked his way into the 10th position. And give a call to the guy running 12th. Ross Chastain, driving for JD Motorsports. Best career run came at Daytona earlier this season when he finished 9th. Solidly inside the top 15, riding 12th. Our pit window, 90 to 95 laps. So you come down here somewhere north of lap 60 as pit road is closed this time. And I'm thinking you can do it from here on a couple of stops, Phil. What do you think?
Yeah, we can do it here after this stop, one more stop. And what do you figure the over-under is on how many spots Eric Jones is going to gain on this pit stop from that #1 pit stall?
It's going to be an advantage for sure, and he has a great pit crew. That deal last night where Denny Hamlin's team took him from 6th to 1st
was almost worth $1 million.
I think I saw a couple of keys to the All-Star race last night. Denny Hamlin getting that thing in reverse when he made his pit stop. I mean, he moved it back a foot, but he did it instantly. That let that team go to work on that car without a hiccup. That got him that first pit stall. Then that pit stop got him the rest of that $1 million. And today, we're not racing for $1 million, but a win in the Xfinity Series for these people is just as important.
They're racing for a trophy is what they're racing for today.
That's right, and that #1 pit stall because of qualifying that Drew Herring gave Eric Jones could be the key to his victory.
Drew telling us earlier today, going to graduate from NC State 1 year from right now, but still hopes to be a race car driver long term, and certainly didn't hurt his chances this weekend putting that 20 car on the pole. First pit stops today going to come at lap 62. Hermie Sadler, they're headed your way.
Well, Adam, Chris Buescher went from the 4th starting spot. He went all the way to the front, moved his line on the racetrack. His car is still a little bit free on entry. They will take 4 tires, Sunoco fuel, and an air pressure adjustment on the 60. Vince.
The 18 of Daniel Suarez pitting from P3, and the car just too loose all the way through the corner. So it's going to be a 4-tire change. Going to give a track bar adjustment to try to give him a little bit more stability. Hermie?
Chase Elliott, pretty good run as well. He needs more bite on exit of the corner, more side bite. They're going to put 4 tires in fuel and a small chassis adjustment for the 9. The 60 wins the race off pit road.
That 60 team holding serve came in with the race lead. They're able to race their way off in the first position. Chase Elliott does the same. Brian Scott picks up a couple of positions, and for Eric Jones, raced his way to the top 10, picked up 4 spots on pit road. Under caution for the 3rd time today here for the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Iowa Speedway. Chris Buescher is the race leader. Ben Rhodes caught speeding on pit road, so he will be penalized. Free pass goes to Blake Cook. We'll have 24 cars on the lead lap when we restart. One of those 1 lap down, our man Kenny Wallace right now in the 27th position.
Yeah, he was right behind Blake Cook, just 1 spot out of the free pass, but unfortunately we had to go to the back of the pack for an uncontrolled tire on his pit stop, so Kenny's going to have a lot of catching up to do here.
You know, when you come to a racetrack like Iowa, and Kenny's a great short track racer, you have so many aspirations of running up there in the top 5 and racing for a win. Right off the bat yesterday, throttle sticks, he gets in the wall. That just puts a damper on the whole experience, but maybe a couple quick cautions here, catch a break, make an adjustment, he can get that car back up toward the front.
Daniel Suarez, who led the first 48 laps of this race, lost some ground on pit road. He'll restart 7th. Eric Jones, his teammate, who started 37th, is up to 6th for the restart. It'll be Chris Buescher, Chase Elliott on the front row. Row 2, a Chevy and a Ford. Brian Scott, Ryan Blaney. Ty Dillon inside the top 5. He'll restart alongside Eric Jones. And we get the green flag as lap 66 goes on the scoreboard here at Iowa.
A little bit surprised Buescher took the inside as much ground as he's been making up on the outside.
He wasn't shy about cutting the 2 off, was he? Brian Scott had a nice run on that restart, and Buescher took him all the way to the bottom.
Did Ty Dillon get into the backside of Brian Scott? It looked like he really had to hang on to that thing. And here's Chase Elliott, outside lane, going for the race lead as they come off a turn 4.
I think Chase Elliott's in the preferred groove on the outside now. Eric Jones also on the outside of Brian Scott. Eric Jones up to 4th.
Look at Bubba Wallace dive to the bottom of the racetrack entering turn 1. Takes Daniel Suarez and Brendan Gaughan 3 wide. Down on the bottom goes Wallace.
And don't you just love this racetrack? The progressive banking just promotes this 2 and 3 wide racing.
And this is the first opportunity these guys have had to come down pit road, work on these chassis. So we'll see who got it right and who didn't. Ty Dillon having to hang on to it. That was Suarez in that bright orange 18 underneath of him. Brendan Gaughan is there. Darrell Wallace Jr., Regan Smith, all a part of that mix.
Looks like Bubba skimmed along that outside wall. You can see a little bit of damage on the right rear quarter panel of that Ford.
Riding along on the Chevrolet onboard of Ty Dillon. Ty on the outside of Bubba there.
Morissette out of shape in the 54.
See the 88 making his way back towards the front after that pit road penalty for Ben Rhodes.
Yeah, Rhodes is 22nd. After starting 14th today, it made his way as high as 7th in the running order before fading late in that first run.
See teammates battling. Ty Dillon, the 3 on the inside. Brendan Gaughan, that South Point Chevy on the outside, the 62. You know Brendan Gaughan loves it when an outside groove comes in.
Yeah, he's the first one to usually venture up there. Kind of running the middle of the track right now, battling with his teammate. Regan Smith lost a couple of positions on that restart. See Bubba there sideways. These guys are right on the edge of control every lap at this racetrack.
And I said a couple of times since the restart I thought there was contact because I was watching the driver have to work the wheel. I'm not so sure because there's no doubt Darrell Wallace Jr. didn't have contact there and he was having to hang on to it. Perhaps just a product of how on the edge you have to be when trying to gain ground here at Iowa. And speaking of that, here comes Chris Buescher.
And that out of control. This is as good as it gets. Those are fresh tires after all these teams put 4 tires on.
And how many times have we said this year, Michael, you get a restart, it's your opportunity to pounce. And speaking of pouncing, there goes Eric Jones underneath the 22 of Ryan Blaney. Jones has now worked his way up to 3rd. He's right behind Chris Buescher. You're riding on board with a 60 there.
Remember, Mike Wheeler was able to make an adjustment for Eric Jones in that 20 car, so look for him to be better, and he already is because Blaney has been one of the fastest cars on the racetrack since the drop of the green flag.
And he drove around the high side to make that pass. You talked about jumping on these restarts, Phil. 8 of our top 10 racers recorded their fastest time of the race right after that pit stop. That adjustment paid off. They got their cars handling better, and they had those fresh tires and really laid down some fast lap times.
This is a good little battle right here. 2 drivers that if you're greedy as an Xfinity Series fan, you would love to see running for the championship. Of course, running part-time for Joe Gibbs and Team Penske, respectively, talking about Eric Jones and Ryan Blaney. But, man, what a load of talent each of them have.
As we take a look at Brandon Jones here, the 33, Elliott Sayles with the 1, I would call them a couple first-rounders, wouldn't you?
I would say so. In fact, they were earlier this week. Or last week, I guess it was now, on our NASCAR draft on NASCAR Race Hub.
Look at Elliott Sadler working the extreme bottom of the racetrack, trying to make his way around the 33 car. Brandon Jones up high, and Elliott just trying all he can to get that front end pointed down on the bottom of the racetrack. Making some good progress down there, but not quite closing the deal.
That momentum from the high side, Vince, is what's allowing Brandon Jones to keep that spot.
Yeah, with Brandon Jones, he just needed more security on entry before that pit stop, so that's what they went to work on there. And for Elliott Sadler, his car is tight through the center of that first run in the late stages of it, so both teams were happy to get to pit road and have their crew chiefs make some adjustments to make them better, and they're pretty even right now.
When Elliott Sadler won here in 2012, he was driving for Richard Childress Racing. The engineer on that car, Phil Gould, who is now his crew chief in the Xfinity Series over at the Roush Fenway organization.
What about this battle for fifth? They're stacked up and wanting that spot. Suarez leading Dillon and Scott. Dillon's working the bottom, trying to get around Brian Scott.
Tough to get that bite up off the corner. You need more of that racetrack. You need to be able to use that whole racetrack like Michael was talking about earlier. And with that car on the outside of you, you've got to pinch it off a little bit on exit.
A couple of drivers looking for their first career win in that group. Got Brian Scott right behind him, Darrell Wallace Jr. chasing down the man that leads the championship coming in. Our defending champ out front, 79 completes at Iowa Speedway. Fourth caution of the day, 83 laps in here at Iowa Speedway for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Came out when Ross Chastain had a flat left rear tire, and they're racing off pit road here to try to stay only one lap down. They did lose a lap after this happened in turn 2.
Yeah, that tire went down and around. He went pretty quick. He had a great run going. He was up in the top 15 prior to the competition caution. He's got a lot of good experience here. He finished second in this truck race here at Iowa Speedway.
You can see the left rear tire is down, and that's the reason why he spun. Don't know if maybe he brushed another car. They race in such tight quarters here at Iowa. He could have gotten together with another car off turn 4 and caused that.
Maybe rip the valve stem out of it.
Yes, sir.
Nice job by Boris Said to avoid him.
The Said heads rejoice. Boris is doing a nice job in the top 20.
Chase Elliott, your race leader. He's led 18 laps today here at Iowa. Today we wrap up weekend number 1 of our 10 days of Thunder coverage on Fox Sports 1. Busy week on NASCAR Race Hub. And the next weekend we're back at it again. Charlotte Motor Speedway, Saturday afternoon, 11th race of the year for these NASCAR Xfinity Series teams. Clint Boyer going to be in the booth with us. And then Sunday night, it's the longest race of the year. Both races on Fox. The Coca-Cola 600 coverage begins 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We look forward to seeing you next weekend from Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Hop on board with Chase Elliott, Polaris onboard camera. He's had some good finishes, Phil, and then a bad.
We'll throw the speedways out. He's never finished in the top 10 on a speedway. Look at, you see Daytona way down, you see Talladega way down, everything else top 10s.
Impressive bounce back, though, because I thought Talladega was so demoralizing. Finished in the 37th position, went from 8 points out in the championship to 37 out entering today, but they have done a nice job in the early going. He will be the control car as we go back green here at lap 88.
Right now, he's third in points, 37 points behind. He's lost 55 points to Ty Dillon in the 2 speedway races.
Look like Chase Elliott got a jump on that start. You can see Buescher getting a push from Eric Jones, so Buescher didn't get going as well as he hoped to. As long as they were inside the restart zone, it doesn't matter who wins the race to the start-finish line, but that was a good start by Chase Elliott.
And a good start by Ryan Blaney, too, to take over that second spot.
And he wants more. Look at him peeking inside of Chase Elliott. Eric Jones kind of got bottled up on the restart.
Got bottled up right there behind Bubba Wallace in that 6 car. He's got his teammate Suarez, the 18, down underneath him.
You know what I love about this track? In the history of the world, if you could get to the bottom, you were going to leave people that were racing on a short track with you. But look at this. Blaney is able to get to the bottom, and he's making some progress, but the momentum on the high side is going to keep Chase Elliott in the lead. I love the multiple grooves that you have here at Iowa.
Elliott not getting away, though. Chase Elliott working inside, look outside, right behind them. Chris Buescher riding third, his teammate Darrell Wallace Jr. in the 6th position, and in between Ty Dillon and Daniel Suarez.
Suarez got loose underneath Bubba Wallace, losing all his momentum.
Here comes Regan Smith outside Eric Jones. That's Regan Smith, the blue and gold number 7, making the pass on the inside of Suarez. Smith back up to 8th after dropping outside the top 10.
Yeah, a little bit surprised at Regan Smith's move so far this race. All the talk in the garage area was that he may have been the best car on average in the field right now, but he's made some progress here, but this is probably about as high as he's been since early on in the race.
Here's what you were talking about, Phil. Racing inside of Darrell Wallace Jr., the two drivers atop the standings as far as Rookie of the Year is concerned.
Michael talked about it earlier. When you're side by side with somebody, there's that bit of a void where you don't have all the air pushing down on the rear of that car like you need it. He found that out right there.
The car I'm most impressed with, just 93, a third of the way through this race, Phil, is that 60 car. I just like the way Buescher looks. He got in the lead, he could run high, but now needing to run the bottom because Blaney's chosen that high lane. Look how strong he is right there off that corner. He's able to make that power move. That's hard to do.
It is.
Ford getting by Ford.
He was about 6-8 car lengths behind Ryan Blaney. In a matter of a couple laps, he chased him down and was able to make the pass on the bottom.
And he's going to run down Chase Elliott. That 60 car today has everything it needs, it looks like. You see how he backs up the corner there a bit? You saw Blaney gaining on him on the entry, but then a good, strong, hard runoff keeps him ahead and lets him gain on Chase Elliott. That time by about a tenth of a second difference between the two.
Easy in, hard off.
Where are you at right now with Eric Jones? Started 37th. Drove his way inside the top 10, running as high as third, now finds himself in the fifth position. Michael, you said it, roughly a third of the way into this race.
Well, this car was set up by another racer. Even though it has the setup in it that Jones and his crew chief Mike Wheeler picked, the one they wanted, and Drew Herring just worked around it for them, he didn't get to drive it and feel it. So I think this next pit stop is key for Jones if he's going to win this race. Obviously, he's talented. That's a great race car. Running in the top 5 is what they expect. But to get up there and have something for Chris Buescher and for our leader, Chase Elliott, that's going to be a whole different story.
Mike Wheeler's going to get 2 more tries to adjust on that thing. 2 more pit stops for all these teams.
6-7 laps ago, Ryan Blaney was going for the race lead, knocking on the door of Chase Elliott. He lost second to Chris Buescher, and now he sees Ty Dillon coming from behind.
Dillon's impressive early in the goal. We talked to him before the race, and he said he loved his car in the long run, and he's right down on that yellow line, making some progress against Blaney.
And it may be more important to have a long-run car now because of this one less set of tires. We saw Sam Hornish get the win here last year in this race by making a late pass on Ryan Blaney.
Blaney had a good long-run car a year ago here, but Hornish got some tires and took advantage of a short dash to the checkered and got that win. So I believe you're right, Phil. Tire conservation is going to be a part of your success here today.
Thinking about Ty Dillon, might be the best weekend they've had as far as practice, qualifying, and race. They've had some up and down Fridays, but yesterday their package was pretty solid. Qualified in the 9th position, running inside the top 5 right now. Let's hear from Vince.
Well, in a good battle here for 6th place as Bubba Wallace in the 6th, Daniel Suarez in the 18. Wallace said he fired off a little bit too free, but then it has since come around. He felt like the track bar adjustment on that previous pit stop helped him, but he needs more of it. As far as Suarez is concerned, they've been fighting loose. His spotter, Curtis Markham, has been telling him, you've driven it in too deep. You're charging the corner too much. That's causing the car to break loose. Back up the corner a little bit, and you'll be able to get in a little more securely and also be able to turn better and get off the corner. They've been preaching that to him throughout much of the afternoon. We'll see if he picks up on it.
So much of an advantage to have somebody on the spotter stand that's done it before, knows how to get it done, and Curtis Markham is certainly one of those guys.
You're exactly right, Phil. And one thing I'm concerned about is firing off too hard. We talk about these cars, tires giving up. If you get the good out of those tires the first 10 or 12 laps, you'll pay for that at the end of a run. They're going to have to balance some conserving the tires there.
The top 5 with 102 laps complete. Chase Elliott, Chris Buescher, Ryan Blaney, Ty Dillon, and Eric Jones.
You're watching Fox NASCAR.
To say Chase Elliott has got a stranglehold around Iowa Speedway would be an understatement. He's now led 43 laps today. He's got a nearly 2-second advantage over second place Chris Buescher. Ty Dillon is third. Ryan Blaney is fourth. Eric Jones continues to ride in the fifth position. And if you're just joining us on this Sunday afternoon, Jones started 37th after not qualifying the car. He's had a good run so far.
Raced his way into the top 5, but can't do anything with Chase Elliott right now. Tip my hat to our buddy, our colleague, Larry McReynolds. Not only in the pre-race show did he say Chase Elliott would get his first win of 2015 today, but his son Brandon got his first win in the K&N Series last night. So congratulations to the McReynolds family.
And a big win, too, because that was a combination east-west. That's only, I think, the second time a West driver has, even though obviously he's from North Carolina, but he's driving for a team, Bill McAnally Racing, on the West Coast. Only the second time here that a West car won the overall race.
Watch this move while we were at break that Ty Dillon put on Ryan Blaney. Dillon's got a really good car. That thing just gets better and better as the race goes forward. We talked a lot about this track changing, and it looks like it's changing to the favor of both Ty Dillon and Chase Elliott. Those cars are getting better.
Ty Dillon, top 10 finishes both races here last year.
Here's the move I was talking about. He's able to tuck right to the bottom of the racetrack, and he gets Blaney a little bit loose because he got right on him. And not only did he get beside him, completing the pass, that's the tough part of it. Getting up beside someone's one thing, but finishing the pass is a whole nother deal.
The 22 here, still clear.
Watch how close he
here, close and quick, half back.
Watch how close he is on the 22 right here, and it just...
And it's hard to get that power. You see Blaney get loose and wiggle a little bit. That gave Ty just enough momentum.
20 traffic.
Now Blaney's going to fight back on the inside of the racetrack. What's Ty Dillon saying, Hermie?
Well, Phil, you know, we talked to Ty on the pre-race show today, and although he is the points leader, it is definitely visible how much this team wants and needs to go to victory lane. They've worked really hard this weekend on the balance of this race car. He likes it better this run than he has on the previous run. The balance is much better. He says the only issue he's having right now is he gets a little bit too free when he gets in traffic. So he's cleared this traffic behind him. Maybe he can make up a little bit of ground, but maybe one more adjustment away. Needs a little more lateral grip. Does Ty Dillon. Maybe he can get up and challenge the 9 and the 60.
He cleared the traffic, but it's still a dogfight behind him. Eric Jones all over Ryan Blaney for fourth right now.
Yeah, I think Jones's car is better than Blaney, but he's having problems doing what Ty Dillon made look fairly easy, and that was getting to the inside and then shooting up off of the corner without losing the nose or the rear end. These things are just right on the edge of control. You get on the gas too soon, Adam, the front end will skate out.
Within a 2-car length, you just lose it when you run behind you there.
That's the spotter saying he doesn't have anything for you right now.
Mentioned Eric Jones didn't qualify that car. Started at the rear. He was in Charlotte last night for the All-Star race on standby for Kyle Busch, who is on baby watch. Flew in this morning. First time he made laps in this car at Iowa. In fact, the first time he'd ever been behind the wheel of an Xfinity car at Iowa was when he was driving this 20 during the pace laps, and here he is from 37th to 5th and perhaps 4th in the next couple of laps.
What about the first time he'd ever been behind the wheel of a Sprint Cup car?
Worked okay. He was impressive.
He hopped in it at Bristol, of all places, and
wasn't his seat, steering wheel, none of that.
Was able to bring that car home to the finish, and now experiencing the same thing here at Iowa, getting a car that he hasn't been in at this facility. But the kid's got a lot of talent.
Yeah, and you said it, experience. He's gaining a lot of it at a lot of different levels. Eric Jones, 5th right now. He's more than 5 seconds behind Chase Elliott, who's out front at Iowa. We've reached the halfway point in today's 3M 250 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Iowa Speedway. Chase Elliott is the race leader. Chris Buescher is 2nd. Ty Dillon is 3rd. Eric Jones now 4th. He was able to get away around Ryan Blaney while we were away, and Darrell Wallace Jr., the final car inside the top 5.
Yeah, Eric Jones got by Ryan Blaney. A little bit of contact between the two of those drivers as they approached some lap traffic.
And we were reminiscing a little bit about what happened at Las Vegas. If you remember, late in that race, Eric Jones was strong driving the 20. And it was Ryan Blaney making his only start of the year so far in that 22. They had contact late that took Eric Jones out of the race, and here they are battling inside the top 5 a moment ago.
Watch as they go down in turn number 3. Ryan Blaney would love to get underneath Joey Gase and Eric Jones just took a normal arc into the corner, and they made a little bit of contact. Ryan Blaney did a great job keeping that car out of the outside wall.
And I think Eric Jones just said, "I've got you picked off, buddy, and I'm gonna hold this position." But I'm not sure how Ryan Blaney viewed that. He was running into the corner, and looked like when Eric turned in, he got a little bit loose. They were really close together. You know, we've talked. You'll have that.
Here's what's tough. You're Ryan Blaney. You're running fourth. You lose that spot. Your momentum carries you up. So Darrell Wallace Jr. drives around. And what, in a brief instant, you lose, it takes so long to get back at a track like this.
Yeah, it certainly does here. And we're past halfway in this race here. This race is really clipping by here. There's Brendan Poole back. Tough break early on for him. Got turned around by J.J. Yaley into the outside wall.
You can tell they really went to work on this car and fixed it up. You think this could be a test session a bit for that young man now? They put a new nose on it. Maybe just give him a chance to run some laps and get a good feel for what it's going to be like to run at a place like Iowa without that damage he got very early in the race.
And I know they feel like they owe it to DC Solar, their sponsor too, to get that car out and run as many laps as they can.
Well, he's going to be running the car when we come back here later in the year, so good opportunity to get some seat time at Iowa. And you talk about a test session. He tested the 42 car at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the 42 team, but it will be Kyle Larson driving it next weekend. You may remember he got a win at Charlotte last year in the spring in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
Elliott Sadler just keeps getting better and better, creeping toward the front. This is the battle for the 8th position. Brendan Gaughan has it. Regan Smith running there. We talk about the track change in Phil. All the reports from the garage area yesterday, the 7 was the best car. Now that the track's rubbering up, it doesn't seem to have the speed that we're seeing out of our top 2 or 3.
A little more overcast yesterday. We've had clouds in and out today, but the sunshine, the racetrack temperature's going up.
They're 3 wide, guys.
This is great. 8th,
Love it.
9th, and 10th.
Love this racetrack. This is what it's all about. You know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see the Cup cars come here one day. Maybe have a little Thursday night show. Boy, that would be fun.
Midweek Thunder?
Yeah.
Are you starting a campaign right now, Michael?
I just thought of it. No, I think that's a pretty fun idea. These fans here are so energetic, and they love when NASCAR comes to Iowa.
Regan Smith is 8th right now, Vince. What's the story there?
Well, and if you're going to take advantage of him, as you see Elliott Sadler and Brendan Gaughan trying to do, now's the time to do it. Elliott Sadler right behind Regan. Gaughan just goes by. Regan Smith radioed into his crew chief, Jason Burdett, a moment ago. 2 words, really bad.
Well, and I go back to what you said a moment ago, Vince, about the changes in that organization and the difference for crew chiefs trying to adapt to a facility where they have never been before. Got to be tough.
Yeah, there's nothing like having experience at a certain racetrack. I mean, you can do all the simulation you want, and you can talk to people, but you have to be here on the race weekend to really get the good feel for this place.
Talk to Jason Burdett. Of course, he's calling the shots today for Ben Rhodes, or for Regan Smith, and you know what he said, it's you don't come here to test, you don't do anything at the Sprint Cup level, and so when you haven't been here, it's a bit of a guessing game. You got to lean on your teammates like Ernie Cope, a crew chief who has been here. Of course, he runs the show for Chase Elliott.
I'm going to be really interested to see what Mike Wheeler and Eric Jones are able to do during this next pit stop when they get some new tires, because Phil, over the last 10-15 laps, he's been able to break even with or run a little bit faster than Chase Elliott. So the long run for that car is there. We've seen him drop back a little bit on the initial restart, and Chase has gotten such a big lead on him, there's no way he's going to be able to run him down, it doesn't appear. They're going to have to make an adjustment, make that thing better for the short haul, and hope it doesn't hurt it for the long run.
And it looks like we're getting close to probably 15-20 laps away from green flag pit stops if the caution flag doesn't come out, and that can really jumble up the field if you make some mistakes on pit road, have trouble on pit road. It could change the complexion of this race. Chase
Elliott has led 71 laps today, the most laps he's led in a race since his last win, Chicago, last July. Caution out for the 5th time today, 143 laps in to today's event here at Iowa Speedway. Chase Elliott leads, Chris Buescher is 2nd, Eric Jones, Ty Dillon, Darrell Wallace Jr., the top 5 leaders on the pit lane for the 2nd time today. Hermie Sadler, you're first.
Well, Adam, Chris Buescher lost that lead on the restart. Neville was able to track Chase Elliott back down. Been pretty quiet on the radio. hadn't asked too many changes. They'll go 4 tires, Sunoco fuel on the 60. The 9 of Chase Elliott, the race leader, his car's been a little bit on the free side. They'll make an air pressure adjustment on Chase Elliott. And the 9, 4 tires, Sunoco fuel as well. Eric Jones hits his pit box. He has pit stall number 1. Remember, Drew Herring qualified this car up front, so he gets the number 1 pit stall. He has asked for more overall grip on this 20 car. 4 tires, Sunoco fuel, the 60, the 9, then the 20 off pit road.
A great effort by that 60 team to win the battle off the pit lane. A couple of pop spots picked up by the 22 of Ryan Blaney. Under caution for debris, free pass here is J.J. Yaley. He scored just outside the top 12. Just over 100 laps to go for the NASCAR Xfinity Series here at Iowa Speedway. Good to have you with us on a Sunday afternoon on Fox Sports 1. Leaders were just on pit road. Our race leader is Chris Buescher, now our Polaris hardest working pit crew.
Really important when you come down pit road here. You only get about 3 opportunities to do it. Scott Graves, guys, for Chris Buescher really did a nice job here because they came in second, but they were able to beat Chase Elliott out of the pits.
Did you see the way that Buescher fired that thing in there, though? He came in hot. He stopped right on his marks. That really helps the pit crew do their job. You want him to come in as fast as possible and hit his marks so your timing all works out. That was a great job.
Look at the trouble that Chase Elliott had on his right side, over 3 seconds slower than Chris Buescher's on the right side. Pit crew got it done.
Well, you knew they had a problem because Chris Buescher not only running second, but there were 4 lap cars between he and Chase Elliott. He made up all of that ground. Very impressive. Let's send it to Hermie.
Ryan Blaney came down pit road. No real damage from the contact on the racetrack with the 20 earlier in that run. But one thing they did talk about needing to get better at is long run speed. The car fired off pretty good, lost more grip on the end of a long run, so they made some air pressure adjustments, trying to make this 22 car better at the end of a tire and fuel run.
Well, and the one of Elliott Sadler has been the best that it has been all day. Shot into the top 7 or the top 10. You see he's run as high as 6th. He's down as far as 17th. It's been a little bit of a seesaw after starting 10th. But Sadler's car was best toward the end there on that run. Said on the long runs, it gets better. They needed a little better here on the short side, however. So made a track bar change. Says it's good on entry, a little snug in the center, free on exit. But go in the right direction for sure for the one of Elliott Sadler.
And now a question, Vince, going to become about strategy. We knew the pit window today, 90 to 95 laps. These pit stops coming at lap 104, so you got just over 100 laps to go. You'd really have to work hard to save. Everyone has another set of tires. We anticipate they'll be down pit road again.
Yeah, I don't think you tell your driver right now to save fuel. I mean, you may be able to save enough fuel to make it, but I think we'll see another caution flag, and tires are going to mean so much. We saw 2 tires last fall with Brad Keselowski get the win late. He pitted with less than 10 laps to go, and 2 tires were enough to get it done.
These caution laps are helping, though, Phil. Every one we run, we probably get an extra lap of run on our fuel. So, Vince, this caution's helping, but what's the 6 got going on down there?
Well, Chad Norris, the crew chief, told Darrell Wallace, he said, you know, we're probably 5 short before these caution flags, so save aggressively. We'll probably get another yellow. You never know. They, of course, got, as you guys mentioned, another set of stickers here in pit lane. But if indeed it would go green all the way to the end, it is going to be very close, so they're not taking any chances. They'll save if they can.
Remember at Richmond, everybody played a different strategy game. Some teams had tires, some teams did not. What ended up happening, long green flag run to end the race. No way to know for sure how things are going to end, but it certainly sounds like there are some teams that are right there on the edge of being able to go the distance.
Yeah, but the teams that tried to stretch it at Richmond, Adam, they were losing so much time on their old tires.
Yep.
And as much as tires fall off here in the longer run, I think that would be the problem here as well. So I want to go. If I'm Eric Jones, I want to see what I've got for number 9 Chase Elliott, number 60 Chris Buescher, because we've got some good long run speed. Let's see if we can keep track of them early in the run.
Buescher takes the outside lane as the control car. Chase Elliott inside. Look who's together on row 2. Ryan Blaney, Eric Jones.
Great start by Chris Buescher from the outside. Ryan Blaney with a bit of a push. Let's see if he can clear Chase Elliott.
That push was key, too. That's what you need when you're up there. You need somebody to help you out. And he got a good draft, good push, and he cleared the field.
Good restart for Elliott Sadler as well. And Eric Jones going in the wrong direction, middle of 3 wide. Outside of him, 62, Brendan Gaughan. Near contact there with Ty Dillon in the 3.
That's been the Achilles heel of that 20 car. He just can't shoot take off early, Phil. He's just a slow car on the start, and that's going to hurt him.
Yeah, he loses that position early in the run, and it takes him all that time to regain it.
And that's interesting because that car had short run speed in qualifying. Got a car around on turn 3.
6th caution of the day.
Hard crash for 28.
That's J.J. Yaley.
Have an opinion what this might be. We'll have to look at the video and see.
Yaley involved in an incident earlier today when there was contact with the 42 of Brennan Poole. Poole 115 laps down, but is back out and running. You're on board with him here.
The white 8 is slow ahead on the bottom.
It looked about like a replay of what the 28 did to the 42 earlier in the event.
Just in the opposite.
Yaley was running 15th when he got turned around, coming off a 4th place finish a couple of weeks ago at Talladega.
It's like in basketball when the guy with the retaliation gets the foul. Well, I think NASCAR is going to probably look at that, and they'll want to talk to Brennan Poole probably because of that retaliation, and that looks like it was. This is the one that happened earlier. You see Brennan on the inside, J.J. Yaley in the middle of the straightaway, moves to the left and just turns Brennan into the outside wall, and then we saw just a moment ago what happened. This is really what precipitated. This is that same incident there from the DC Solar onboard.
And then we felt, that looked uncalled for to us. We didn't see anything prior to that. Now, in Yaley's defense, they're going to bring Brendan Poole to the garage area, to the pit road at least, for a penalty, maybe to the garage area. But Phil, in Yaley's defense, well, there's no defending that.
Yeah,
we know exactly why. That was payback for what happened earlier. But we don't know if maybe Brennan Poole had roughed up J.J. Yaley laps prior to that, because we certainly didn't see anything directly prior to the wreck that lead us to believe that Poole had done anything wrong.
Yeah, we saw J.J. Yaley clip the apron over there in turn 2, and that's what allowed Brennan to get underneath him. Maybe he thought that Brennan got into him and turned him sideways.
A lot of caution laps. Everybody saving fuel at Iowa. There you see what's left of the 28 car of J.J. Yaley being taken back to the Xfinity Series garage. His crash in turn 3 has brought out the caution for the 6th time today. 94 laps to go. In our last segment, we were talking a lot about opportunities to save fuel. Well, the free pass on this caution goes to Ben Rhodes. He gets back on the lead lap, comes down and tops off, doing so at lap 155. That would put him 95 laps he needs to go to make it to the end. Brian Scott also giving up track position to do the same 1 lap earlier. So those drivers obviously thinking, if it stays green, we're going to put ourselves in position to win the fuel mileage game.
Yeah, and these caution laps are helping all these guys, even the ones that pitted back on lap 144 with 106 laps to go. It's helping all of them right now.
They're sizing up here for the restart. We'll get it next time around. Chris Buescher is the race leader. Got it on a cycle of caution flag pit stops a moment ago. He's led 31 laps today. Now let's hear from Brennan Poole. Hermie?
We're Brendan Poole in the garage. Obviously, contact a couple times with you in the 28. What happened from your perspective?
Oh, he just literally crashed me like 5 laps into the race. There's 245 laps left. There's no sense in that. It costs us a lot of money to be out here at DC Solar's, putting everything on the line to try to build a brand. I'm trying to make myself known in this sport so I can stay here, and then one of my heroes just deliberately crashed me 5 laps into the race. Just doesn't make sense. I feel like it's pretty common sense to know that we got 245 to go. Like, what are you doing, So we fixed the car. I got back to him, and we just got into it. Just part of racing. I hate it happened between me and JJ, but just how it goes sometimes.
It's Brennan Poole.
He's been in the race car now 5 consecutive weeks. They knew coming to a short track they had a chance, very confident coming into today. And as Brennan said, it was really over before it got started for that 42 team.
And we shuffled back through the in-car video. We didn't see any evidence of Brennan ever putting a bumper to J.J. Yaley. And this is just Brennan passing on the inside. Yaley had gotten sideways off turn 2, perhaps thinking he was hit by Poole, and then retaliated, but that wasn't the case. You can see here, Brennan's just following along. JJ down on the bottom of the track, sideways. Brennan just does his job, drives by him, and gets crashed. I understand why he's upset.
Maybe we can go, get a word with J.J. Yaley, and I have to believe that J.J. thought that Brendan Poole got into him and turned him sideways. But as I said before, sometimes you're pretty sure what happens, and that's not really the way it happened. That's what it looked like happened here, and this is the one that just happened. And Brendan basically admitted he got wrecked 5 laps into the race and by JJ, and he just returned the favor.
Now they're both out of the event with 92 laps to go. NASCAR is added a lap here. They're going to clean up the racetrack as we sit under this, our 6th caution of the day. 92 laps remaining. Told you Chris Buescher is out front. Ryan Blaney is second. Blaney nearly won this race a year ago as a Truck Series win to his credit here at Iowa. Chase Elliott is third. He has led the most laps today, being out front for 78 circuits. Elliott Sadler is fourth. Best track position for him. He won the event here in 2012. Only driver entered in today's race that has a victory at Iowa in the Xfinity Series. And Brendan Gaughan, haven't said his name a lot today. The veteran out of Las Vegas finds himself 5th with now 91 laps to go.
Phil, we watched Eric Jones get to the 3rd spot and start making some ground on Chase Elliott prior to that caution. Then on the restart, he couldn't hold his pace. He lost a couple of spots. Does this caution help him or hurt him? After a couple of laps on the tires, when they go back racing, you think he'll be in better shape to keep up with those guys, or is he just needing 10, 20 laps before he can get going?
I'm not sure. I think you're right. I think it's going to help some. I don't know that maybe if they ran 10 or 20 more laps on the green, if it would help more, but I think it definitely will help. But here we are. We've only got 15 cars right now on the lead lap. If I'm outside the top 10, I'm going to wait till they're talking about 2 to go, maybe 1 to go, and I'm going to bring my guy in and put some fuel in that thing to make sure I have enough.
Let's hear from J.J. Yaley. Vince?
Well, JJ, a couple of incidents with the 42. What's your take on it?
It's just a retaliation. Running around there about lap 15, and I got loose off of 2 and tried to tuck back in behind him and a couple other cars and just barely clipped him. And, it spun him in the wall. Obviously, it was unintentional. I mean, there wasn't even hardly any damage to my left front or his right rear. And, they've got the car fixed, and, it was clear to me that he was going to try to wreck me on the restart. He was a number of laps down and didn't fall to the back. So, he was chasing me pretty hard, and I got real tight off of turn 2 and gave him enough run that he could hook me and turn me into backstory fence. So, it's just disappointing. We were a lead lap car running pretty well, and this is a small team here at JGL. We don't have a lot of cars, and for a guy like that, as a rookie, you just go out there and and do that thing. It sucks. So, she'll be on the other foot here before too long.
Thanks, JJ. Adam.
Thanks, Vince. So let's take you back through what's happened the first 160 laps in today's race.
Short track racing, you're going to lose tempers and you're going to have differences of opinions, and I think that's what we see here.
Saw Brendan Poole in the wall there. He's in the garage, 38 laps down. Eric Jones started at the rear, didn't qualify the car because he was in Charlotte last night on standby, and he drove through the field. He's passed 34 cars today on the heels of passing 29 trucks to get to the front Friday night at Charlotte.
And he made steady progress. He got into the top 10 in 6 laps or something Friday night, but he made some steady progress. Great battle for the lead. Suarez led the first early part of the race, and Chris Buescher jumped to the high side, had a lot of momentum, had a fast car.
And lap 82.
Around goes Ross Chastain, flat tire on that number 4 car. And watch this battle. Eric Jones on the inside of Ryan Blaney. They both go for the low side of turn 3, and contact was made between a couple of our superstars.
And then the retaliation. Brendan Poole and the J.J. Yaley. Yaley in to the wall. You've heard from both drivers to give us an idea of what they were thinking in that situation. A lot of wind at Iowa.
How much does this affect the handling of these cars, Phil? That wind has to want to push the cars up on the exit of turn 4. It's blowing straight toward turn 4. That's got to be a handful for these guys.
And turn 4 is a handful on its own without any help from the wind.
So windy here today, our camera operator in turn 1 had to get down off his scaffolding for safety reasons. Everybody's fighting this afternoon. Chris Buescher has the lead. Green flag, 88 to go at Iowa.
He has a teammate behind him, Elliott Sadler, with a good push.
Another 4 down inside of him. Ryan Blaney. Chase Elliott there. Eric Jones looking outside.
He's got a spinner.
2 cars get together in the back.
Set, the 54 and the 24 of Eric McClure.
Again, these caution laps are going to help these guys with their fuel mileage. I was really surprised we didn't see some of the cars on the backside of the lead lap come in and top off just to make sure they could make it. See some damage to that hefty 24.
I'm thinking a lot of the front runners, Phil, think they can make it now. We've had a number of caution flag laps since those guys put gas in their cars, and they were right on the edge then.
This is the third caution we've had since they all came down pit road at lap 144. Today, it's the 10th race of the year for the NASCAR Xfinity Series in Iowa. Back to mile-and-a-half racing next Saturday. Clint Boyer going to be in the booth with Michael and I. Our coverage begins on Fox, 2 p.m. Eastern Time next Saturday. It is the Hisense 4K TV 300. Will be good to see the Xfinity guys running back in NASCAR's backyard.
And if you ever just felt like kicking up your feet, putting them on the coffee table, maybe having your favorite beverage, watching a race with Clint Boyer in the booth, that's exactly what it feels like. He's just relaxed. He's telling you what he's seeing. Old dirt racer from Kansas. He's really got some great insight. It's been so much fun working with Jeff Gordon and Brad Keselowski and the guys that have joined us up in the booth. Phil, you're all right, too. You're a good guest analyst. I'm not kidding. You're maybe one of the best in the business.
Thank you.
Who will be leading the championship when we get there? Points as of now, and you see Chris Buescher, Ty Dillon, how they're doing things at the top, only 2 points separating them. Chase Elliott gaining some ground. He was 37 points out coming in. Darrell Wallace Jr. fourth, and his teammate Elliott Sadler, the final car, inside the top 5.
And all our point contenders without any trouble today, still in contention for a good finish here.
Chris Buescher has the lead on the restart, takes the outside lane.
Ryan Blaney really strong on the inside.
Look at Chase Elliott trying to make it 3 wide. Can't get there to go outside off of turn 2. Brendan Gaughan alongside Elliott Sadler for 4th.
That was a great illustration of the bump speed 1 and 2, especially over the tunnel area.
What about Chase Elliott? He was dominating this race, lost his lead on pit road. Oh, into the outside wall. Did Buescher crowd him up?
Looked like Buescher crowded him up and maybe just lost a friend in his car with Chase where he was. Hopefully not too much contact with that outside wall for Chase. Looks like he's fighting back now, trying to get around the outside of Brendan.
Man, he's going to be really fortunate if he didn't bend that right front fender in, Phil. And we've talked about speeds upward of 160 miles an hour down into the corner. If that thing goes to pushing, it's because he's got aerodynamic damage to the right front. He was going for the lead, too. What a shame for that young man.
We have to make sure we don't have a tire rub as well.
Yeah, because if you have to pit under green here, not much of a chance you're going to rally back.
Really wasn't quite enough room for Chase up there. You look, Chris used enough of the racetrack. There really wasn't room for Chase.
On board with Elliott here.
He jumps to the outside. He was committed to the outside. He gets in the throttle good in the center of the corner.
That's just hard short track racing right there. Chase Elliott was on the outside of Chris, and Chris was using as much racetrack as he could, but he did leave Chase Elliott room on the outside.
Chase Elliott is 4th now, and a good battle behind him.
Eric Jones into the wall.
And he nearly came down and hit Ty Dillon, who he was racing with for that 5th position.
I know I've said this repeatedly, but that's how hard these guys drive every lap. That's how close to the edge of control they operate. It's just that hard to run up front and win one of these races. We've seen 2 of the best here today within 5 laps run into the wall.
And it wasn't a deal where Ty crowded him. Ty gave him plenty of room up there, and Eric just ran out of racetrack a little bit.
He needed a foot. You know, running 140 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour up the corner, needed a foot.
Look at this mess. 3 wide. Suarez in that orange 18. The black number 2 is Brian Scott, and outside of him is rookie teammate, the 33 of Brandon Jones.
Jones has done a great job today. Just hung around that top 10, been competitive, raced in and around a lot of cars, and kept his nose clean.
Brian Scott was one of those guys that did come in and top off towards the end of the race. We feel like for sure that he has enough fuel to get there.
Back behind him, Elliott Sadler, who restarted 3rd a moment ago. He's faded a bit on the restart.
Racing right now with Regan Smith in that 7 car. These guys are racing outside the top 10 right now.
Regan Smith also came down, topped off with fuel at lap 164, so we feel really confident he can go the distance.
See Chase Elliott trying to get by Brendan Gaughan, trying to fight his way back after making contact with the outside wall vents.
Well, it's been a nice comeback weekend for the 62 of Brendan Gaughan after finishing 39th in the last race at Talladega, costing 4 spots in the championship race. But they have worked on that car from tight early to loose in the middle, and now they have had a machine third spot, now back into fourth.
I'm going to tell you, this is a team, week in and week out, they won't go away. And I reminded Brendan, there are 6 standalone races on the Xfinity Series schedule. A year ago, they won 2 of them. He got his first career win on the road course in Wisconsin, won the September race at Kentucky. Don't rule him out here today.
How about the runner-up finish at Auto Club Speedway this year for Brendan Gaughan? Real strong on a late restart.
And that's how he got that win last year at Kentucky, too. He just put a move on him late in the going there and drove around him at the end. Oh, got a spinner. That's John West Townley off turn 2. Didn't make any contact. The caution's out. We pit, right, Phil? Pit.
Absolutely.
Tough break for Townley. He was the final car on the lead lap, running in the 16th position. But you know what? Not much lost here. He stays on the lead lap. Everybody going to come down and pit. This may not be too bad for the 25 team.
Well, guys, if you really want to gamble, how about saving a set of tires? How about coming and getting enough fuel to make sure you have enough if you feel like it's close? Let's take a look at what happened to John West. You see him, he was running up high, top of the racetrack. Looked like he got his right sides out of the black a little bit into that gray area. Some marbles up there, and around he did a nice job not making any contact with anything. But do we want to save some tires here for 30 or 40 laps to go, 50 laps to go in this race?
Well, we get another lap to think about it. The pits aren't open yet, and I was just sitting here thinking the same thing, Phil. Before I started to speak, I was like, no strategy anymore, let's get 4 tires. But that's not necessarily the case. I mean, these tires fall off. We might want to take a chance just to take a gamble, gas up, and hopefully get the tires later.
In years past, they would have had an extra set of tires. You definitely put tires on here. Then you still have a set of tires in the pits for a late caution flag. Now, these crew chiefs really have to think about it. Can we make it on fuel if we don't stop? And if we can, then if you're not going to put tires on now, you're going to save a set. Don't even stop now.
I don't know. I'd still like to stop maybe and get some gas, especially if I'm not in the first 2 or 3, because they've already run quite a lot of laps on their fuel. And if the caution doesn't fly for a while and they have to come in I don't know. It's 50-50. These crew chiefs have a really tough decision here because the tires are giving up. They'll be faster now. But if somebody saves a set, Phil, could come back to haunt you if you get them now.
Absolutely. There'll be no match for that car with fresh tires.
And I love that. I love that they have to make these decisions. It's not just a no-brainer. Let's make a call here. Looks like Chris Buescher's calling to stay out.
Blaney's coming. No, he's going to at the last second, but Chase Elliott's going to come in. They probably want to look at the right side damage.
Elliott Sadler also going to come down pit road. Ryan Reed peeling off in turn 4. Most of those running up front elect to stay on the racetrack with just over 70 laps to go. What's going on, Vince?
Well, the one of Elliott Sadler is in. It's going to be a track bar adjustment and topping him off with fuel. No tires for the one.
Yeah,
the 9 of Chase Elliott got into the wall. As we can see, some right side damage. They're pulling the fenders away from the tires. They feared a fender rub on this car, so they're going to fix the damage.
Okay.
And go ahead and get tires on it. Probably 2 right side tires now. Probably come back and put the left sides back on for Chase Elliott. Kind of a necessity for the 9 to come to pit road.
I don't know why they'd come back. They had plenty of time to work on it.
Free pass under this, our 8th caution of the day, goes to Jeremy Clements. Last car on the lead lap, scored in the 17th position. Under our last caution, the free pass went to David Starr, the veteran with TriStar Motorsports, driving that Zachary Toyota, being scored right now in the 12th position. And Ben Rhodes, who was caught speeding early in this race, had lost a lap, got a free pass. He's now running 11th.
Chase is going to stay on the racetrack and we just go with the right side tires.
Looks like no obviously some
slight cosmetic damage.
Wall rubbing there, but the right front fender looked good to me. He's got 2 tires. I really not sure about that call. Will they think about getting 4 or the other 2 later if there's a caution? How will that work?
Yeah, left sides. I think I would, if I was going to change tires, I think I would have went ahead and put 4 tires on it. But he will have an advantage here with those right side tires over all his competition.
Elliott going to restart in the 4th position. Elliott Sadler also pitted. He restarts 13th.
Sure here, guys. Right sides.
Maybe you want a little bit of an adjustment of some sort.
Yep.
Well, if it stays green, he's going to win this race. I believe that's.
I do too. New right side tires, and we know he has enough fuel.
Just don't really understand why they didn't get 4 unless maybe they thought the left would help later if there's a delayed caution.
How about that restart? Ryan Blaney inside trying to drive out in front of Chris Buescher.
Here comes Buescher fighting back on the high side.
Teammates in row 2. Brendan Gaughan edges out in front of Ty Dillon. Side by side for the lead at Iowa.
Man, Blaney drove it down in that corner, didn't he?
Look coming from the outside and in the back. Right. Chase Elliott is 3 wide down in turn 3 and 4. He's going to catch him when he gets to him now. Pass him when he gets to him.
Restarted 14th. Won't be long before he's back inside the top 5. 7th is where he scored right now.
Yeah, those right side tires for Chase Elliott. Even though the rest of the field didn't have that many laps on their tires, boy, it's really showing up how good those right sides are.
Great call by Jason Burdett to bring him down there, get those tires. Now we know they're in their window to go the distance. Here working on the backside of Darrell Wallace Jr. to get inside the top 5. What are they saying down there, Herm?
A lot of communication issues in the 9-pit Adam of Chase Elliott. He is not able to communicate with Ernie Cope in this spot, or they are having radio issues. They're trying to use a hand signal system and a lot of other things to try to communicate, but they did want to put 4 tires on that last stop, but they could not get that information in time to chase. Communication issues, but right now, working out pretty good on the racetrack with 2 right side tires.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, Hermie, if he doesn't just sort of take it easy now. He knows he's got a fast car with those tires, but if he just burns them up now, he'll definitely not have anything for later in the race. So maybe just settles in there, runs some laps, and sees how this thing plays out.
How about these guys? They're not settling in there. Oh, Suarez is going to go around.
How about that save by the rookie out of Mexico? Amazing job after contact with Brian Scott.
I thought he was gone. He was in the middle of a 3-wide situation. They made contact. He was completely sideways and saved it.
Watch this.
Got an RCR sandwich. Looked like he tried to stay off of Brandon Jones, and that's what got him into Brian Scott in the 2-car. Amazing save.
It was that. Look at Regan Smith sitting there watching it thinking, which way are you going, buddy?
He had a front row seat and didn't need any part of that. Chase Elliott, meanwhile, has worked his way back to the 5th position.
You don't think he's going to drive back up in the middle of that sandwich, do you, Phil?
It's Brandon Jones in front of him in the 33 car.
It looks like he's trying to go exactly there.
And here's a look again at Chase Elliott. Talked about the decision made by Ernie Cope, the crew chief, and how hard it was to make the call, realizing radio communication is an issue, and there he goes underneath Ty Dillon. Fresher right side tires. This would put our defending champion up to 4th in the running order.
Michael, I think you're exactly right, though. We know we have better tires than the rest of the field. Let's just take our time, just gradually try to get one at a time, and leave something for in the race. He knows if we get a caution flag with 50 laps to go, 40 laps to go, and those guys put right side tires on, 4 tires on, he's going to be in trouble.
Yeah, you know, that team came to pit road at Talladega, had a bit of a miscommunication there, didn't get tires, blew a tire and crashed because of sliding the pit road, sliding the tires coming to pit road. Again, seems like maybe a bit of a communication gap there, not getting the 4 tires when they certainly had plenty of time to do so. But if radios are an issue, that explains it.
Chris Buescher is out front with 61 laps to go. Brendan Gaughan, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Ty Dillon, the top 5 at Iowa. Closing on 50 laps to go in the 3M250 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. We're live at Iowa Speedway on a Sunday afternoon on Fox Sports 1. Chris Buescher is the race leader. Daniel Suarez running 8. Here's our high-sense smart move of the race.
An amazing save here. Tried to stay off of Brandon Jones out there. Made contact with Brian Scott. Was completely sideways all the way down into the corner.
The reason why that was especially amazing is he had to cut so far hard to the right to keep from spinning. Then he straightened up the wheels and didn't snap back into that outside wall. We saw this rookie at Daytona get a little bump and went around in the middle of the pack down there. Couldn't save the car. You just watch him week after week. He gains experience. He just gets better and better each week.
Good battle for position here. Brendan Gaughan, Ryan Blaney going at it for 2nd.
Yeah, Brendan actually made the pass on Ryan Blaney. Then Ryan kind of eased Brendan on down into turn 1. got back underneath him to take over that spot.
And while they were racing, here comes Chase Elliott. Chance to get in the top 3.
I bet you Brendan thinks that he did more than just ease him down in there, Phil. He had his back wheels off the ground when they got to turn 1. Brendan did a heck of a job saving the car, but now he's fallen into the grasp of Chase Elliott and Ty Dillon. Both these Chevys are marching toward the front.
Really good day for Richard Childress Racing. All 4 of their drivers inside the top 10. 2 of them inside the top 5. You're on board with the man that led the championship coming in today, Ty Dillon.
Yeah, Chase Elliott with clean racetrack can run as fast as Chris Buescher and even faster on some occasions. We know he has better right side tires, but he did make some contact with the outside wall. Don't know if that maybe affected the toe on that car, but still pretty fast car right now as he takes over the 3rd spot from Brendan Gaughan.
But these are some tense times for he and that team, Phil. They know if the caution flag falls, there's no way he's going to be able to run with those guys. He's got enough laps on his right side tires now that he won't be able to be competitive. So they're just hoping this thing stays green all the way to the end.
You know, Eric Jones started at the back after not qualifying the car. He was in Charlotte yesterday on standby for Kyle Busch. Came in this morning, started at the rear. Drove this thing inside the top 5, running 3rd at one point, and they've kind of stalled out there. You see him battling with his teammate, Daniel Suarez.
As we watch Chase Elliott take over the 2nd spot from Ryan Blaney. Remember, Eric Jones made some pretty significant contact with the outside wall when he was in a good battle. So that's probably affected that 20 car.
Where are we at with some of these guys up front that pitted at lap 144? Did we have enough caution laps for them to go the distance? And the guy to watch here is Chase Elliott. Ernie Copa's crew chief brought him down at lap 179. They got some fuel right side tires. We know they are good, but what about the others around them?
Well, there's a couple other cars. Brian Scott was one of those that came in topped off, but as we see a great battle right here for the 7th spot between teammates. We've had 26 laps of caution since lap 144. I'm not sure it's a 2 for 1, and it's probably more than half for 1. So I would guess maybe that would give these guys somewhere between 15, 18 extra laps, and I think that's enough to do it, Michael.
I think it is as well, but I do believe we'll have to keep our eye on Chase Elliott because those right side tires gives him the advantage he's going to need to run down Chris Buescher if this thing stays green, because Buescher's tires will get to a point and really start falling off late in the run. We saw Elliott into the outside wall a bit. They pulled the fenders away and put tires on it. Also, Eric Jones brushed the outside wall as well, so we'll see how that works for Jones.
I think Eric Jones's car was affected more than Chase Elliott's by that contact with the outside wall.
You know, these walls are unique here. They're not walls. They're not concrete walls as a traditional wall. The safer barriers are built into the concrete. You can see there's no wall there. The safer barrier, the foam there, that allows the steel wall to move back, and there's not a concrete wall behind it. It's just built into the earth.
Again, this racetrack was built after the advent of safer barriers, and they didn't feel like they needed the concrete wall, which all the racetracks already had prior to that. But I'm telling you, that 18 car, Suarez, is on the move now. We saw him get by his teammate Eric Jones, and now he's going after the 6 of Bubba Wallace in a battle for 6th.
He probably needed a few laps to collect his thoughts after that slide down into turn 1 sideways.
We weren't watching, but he went right back to the middle of those 2 cars even after that save.
Yeah, you said he was an RCR sandwich. I thought, he won't get in that sandwich again, will he? Well, darn right he will.
These guys aren't just battling for position on track. They're battling for Rookie of the Year, talking about the 6 of Wallace, the 18 of Suarez. Chris Buescher leads his advantage a couple of seconds over Chase Elliott. 35 laps to go, and things getting good in the latter stages for the NASCAR Xfinity Series here at Iowa Speedway. Chris Buescher, the race leader. He's led more laps than anyone else today, 88. Second in that category is Chase Elliott. He's second on track in closing on the top spot.
Yeah, he's gained at least a second since we went away to commercial, and these guys have been really battling here. Brendan Gaughan, Bubba Wallace, Ty Dillon, Eric Jones just been in just a bit of a wad here. And you know, it's amazing how things work out. Chase Elliott getting into the wall. If this thing stays green the rest of the way, he can get up there and get by Chris Buescher. Probably won him the race.
Running into the wall.
Running into the wall.
Okay, go ahead and explain to me real fast why they didn't get 4. Could you explain that one?
That part I can't figure that out. But Vince, how about Bubba Wallace in a great battle with Brendan Gaughan?
Well, he's had his hands full most of the day. Car's just been too loose for his liking. They've been working on it, trying to get it to drive off a little bit more. shape there, but he's done a heck of a job still getting by Brendan Gaughan, who has a handful of his own.
Battle for the lead really tightening up now.
We're inside 32 laps to go, Phil. Everyone that clicks off is a bit of sigh of relief that young man right there, Chase Elliott, breathes, because he knows a caution will end his chance of winning this race, and if it doesn't fly, he's going to win it.
Yep, and I don't think he can breathe easy till we get inside of 5 laps to go.
Chris Buescher out front in the 60, working through lap traffic, driving to the inside of the 14 of Cale Conley.
What a dominating performance it's been for Buescher, too. Just goes to show you how tough these things are to win. Remember Austin Dillon at Las Vegas? Just led lap after lap, dominating in that race. At the end, he had to go sideways to hold off Ryan Blaney. That's how NASCAR races work, and there's the lead change.
Chase Elliott inside, drives around him with 31 laps to go.
I think Chase has done a great job. He pitted back on lap number 179, over 40 laps. He managed his time, didn't abuse those tires. He has plenty enough tire now to get to the end of this race, stay out front, unless the caution flag comes out.
That's a big if, too. They're racing side by side. Still more than 30 cars on the track. And look, this is an example of what's happening all over this racetrack. Brandon Jones, the bottom of the racetrack, passing his teammate, Brian Scott.
What a nice job, though, Brendan Jones has done for his first ever Xfinity start here. In a great car, Nick Harrison, a crew chief for RCR there. He stayed around the top 10 the entire race. Now, just passed a very potent teammate, Brian Scott, for that 9th spot.
Scott says, not so soon, Phil. Lurking back behind these two, you see Regan Smith coming into view there in that Napa car. He's trying to join this battle. Inside the top 10 is Scott, running in this 10th spot.
He and Jason Burdett have worked hard on that car all day long trying to get the handle, but unfortunately Regan Smith hasn't spent a whole lot of time at the front. Right now scored in the 11th position and going to try to get Brian Scott here for 10th as we've got 27 laps remaining.
Yeah, only 2 finishes this year outside the top 10 for Regan Smith. Right now he's currently running in the 11th spot.
Had those problems at Daytona, and then at Bristol certainly had a top 10 car, maybe top 5. Problem with the rear end gear, put them in the garage, and they finish outside the top 30 and trying to battle back here today, Vince.
Well, it's been frustrating on a variety of levels. They really thought they were going to have a car that was going to contend for the win today, particularly on the long run, and it has just been a handle. They have not been able to find the sweet spot on this one anywhere close throughout the course of the day. And then on the last pit stop, someone ran into the left rear of Regan Smith, and you heard his frustration. Nothing has gone their way here this afternoon.
Well, he should do what his Napa teammate did, run into the wall. Maybe he can win this race. It's going to be very ironic. But, you know, I've been really impressed with Chris Buescher. He has lost the lead to Chase Elliott, and I'm sure Chase is a bit in a conservative mode here, but you just let Chris Buescher keep hanging around like that. You catch a lap car in the wrong place, making your way through traffic, Buescher will be back all over you. And we know what kind of a commitment Buescher will put on you. He'll go sideways, 3 wide, right next to the wall, whatever it takes.
And right now, Chase Elliott holding his breath, hoping for no caution flags as we continue to watch. Here's the battle for 3rd. Ryan Blaney now. Bubba Wallace has chased down Ryan Blaney in that battle for 3rd, and he's bringing Eric Jones with him.
Jones is fast right now. We've seen that car all day long, Phil. Be a really good long-run car. Loses too much ground to the leaders to think about maybe having a shot to win this thing, but he's really good after 20, 30 laps.
These guys racing right here, Blaney and Bubba Wallace, really, really good friends off the racetrack. Fierce competitors on the racetrack.
Bubba looking for his career best finish. Inside of Ryan Blaney. Eric Jones now looking to make it 3 wide. They're racing for 3rd on track.
I think Eric might have gone through the middle if there'd have been room in the middle. Laps are winding down here, only 22 to go.
Bubba's got a good run on the top. Ryan holds him off. Eric Jones just patiently watching these two, but with the laps running down, he's got to go.
These guys are over 5 seconds behind our leader, Chase Elliott. Ooh,
big wiggle for Ryan Blaney. There's the opportunity for Darrell Wallace Jr. He comes through for 3rd. Eric Jones trying to get the 4th position away. And lap vehicles in front of him.
And that's how hard these guys are running. You saw Blaney sideways. Bubba Wallace almost getting into the lap car. Chase Elliott, if he was watching all this, he'd really be nervous because it just looks like we could have a crash at any moment.
Bubba Wallace able to emerge with that third spot. Eric Jones now has fourth.
Bubba's so talented on the short track. It's been so much fun to watch his progression. Winning at Martinsville, got the win at Gateway, and he just gets it done on these short, flat tracks. He's really good on every track, but I think he's really showing his prowess on the short speedways.
He certainly did. And how about that win at Eldora last year for Bubba Wallace on the dirt in that truck? Ooh, Eric gets a little bit sideways, making it 3 wide.
Lap car outside, that's Cale Conley. And the yellow and back 14. The 6 in the middle, Darrell Wallace Jr. and Eric Jones trying to get by for the 3rd position, Hermie.
Adam, the 20 has really been good on the medium to longer runs. And one of the reasons why we've watched him on the restarts really struggle. And he's mentioned a couple times, remember, he did not practice or qualify this car yesterday. He says at the beginning of runs on low air pressure, the bumps have really made it difficult for him to hustle the car in the first 3 or 4 laps after they come to pit road on restart. So he's spent the majority of his day gaining spots back that he's lost on restarts, but he's still digging with about 18 to go, trying to get back a couple more spots.
Still an impressive run, huh?
It certainly is, and he hasn't given up on this race. We see a caution flag. He's got a great pit crew, a good pit stall. He may be able to gain a spot or 2 on pit road because we know they're going to come if we get a caution flag, and we know Chase only has new lefts left.
So I guess it's fair to say that the only person in the top 10 that doesn't want to see a caution would be Chase Elliott.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everybody else says, let's reset this thing and we can get a chance to win this race.
Chase Elliott or his crew chief Ernie Cope, seen right of your screen. The advantage now for our defending champion, 1.9 seconds. Last time he went to victory lane, 24 races ago, last July, Chicagoland Speedway.
Remember, he won 3 times in his first 18 starts, and then he went 24 without a victory.
Here's what's impressive to me. The battling back from that disappointment a couple of weeks ago at Talladega when he finished 37th. Put him 37 points out of the championship after those 7 consecutive top 10 finishes to get him right back in the title hunt. And now today responding with an opportunity to go to victory lane. 15 laps to go, and he's out front.
He just led the most laps of the race. In fact, Adam, believe this or not, this is the most laps that Chase has ever led in a race. The most before today was 85 in Chicago last fall when he won. Today, he's up to 95. And if the caution doesn't fly, he's going to win today.
A great battle right there for the 10th spot. Regan Smith just took 10th from Ty. Ty Dillon has some sort of an issue there. He looks like he's off the pace with a motor problem as Elliott Sadler and Ryan Reed both went by.
And how big is this for the guys running 1-2? Chase Elliott's led the most laps. Opportunity for maximum points today to get right back in the championship hunt. And Chris Buescher, who was second, he came in second in the championship.
Listen inside this car. See if we can hear an engine problem.
Second gear, 1 red at the line, 1 red at the line.
They've been running out of gas. Possibly running out of gas.
He's going to pit with 13 laps to go.
What's that say for Chris Buescher and Bubba Wallace and some of our other front runners? Do they have enough gas to get to the finish? We know Chase Elliott does, Hermie.
Yeah, the 3's coming to pit road. Ty Dillon, a tire going down on the 3. No sign of an engine issue as we thought it may have been to begin with. A tire going down. It'll be 4 tires and fuel in a very costly pit stop for Ty Dillon.
Yeah, it looked like the right side tires were up. It may have been a left side tire, or certainly one with that got a little bit soft, but what a horrible break for Ty Dillon here.
Dodged so many bullets at Talladega. Restarted late in that race outside the top 20. Rallied to finish inside the top 10, was 8th a couple of weeks ago in Alabama. And today had spent most of the afternoon inside the top 5. But a late pit stop for Ty Dillon is going to be costly when you look at the championship standings.
10 laps to go for Chase Elliott. Now he's got almost a 3-second lead on Chris Buescher. He just needs this thing to stay green is all he's looking for right now.
Ty Dillon, 2 laps down after making that unscheduled green flag pit stop. He's 17th, Hermie.
The left front tire is corded out on the 3. They came around and put it up on the inside of pit wall, but the left front tire was the culprit down on the 3.
That's so disappointing when you consider how good that car has been today.
Long green flag run on those tires, too. What's that mean for the tires of some of our other front runners as we wind the laps down here? 8 to go this time by.
The lead for Chase Elliott, more than 3 seconds over second place Chris Buescher.
Watch how easy Ty Dillon is able to drive by Chris Buescher here. He ran laps almost a second faster than our lead cars. There he goes by now. Here's a good battle for third. Bubba Wallace, Eric Jones.
Eric has just done a nice job of hanging there in the top 5. And then as the tires wear, he doesn't lose as much ground as some of the others. And you can see a strong move to the inside of Bubba Wallace.
Jones got his first career win at Texas earlier this year. That's where Darrell Wallace Jr. got his career best, was 6th on that Friday night. Going to try and better it here today. Riding in the 4th position as Eric Jones is able to drive by to the inside. And now the 6 rallying back with 7 to go.
Little slide job there from the 6, yes.
He barely was able to clear Eric Jones.
Eric did the same thing to Bubba down in turns 1 and 2, and Bubba just said, well, I can play that game too, buddy. And around he went.
They're racing a little hard for Chase Elliott's liking at this stage. He does not want to see a caution, because if we stay green, there is no doubt the 9 car is going to win it. He's 5 laps away from his first victory of the year.
Yeah, he wants everyone to play nice and stay away from each other right now in these last 5 laps.
These are going to be the longest 5 laps of that young man's life, knowing that he has this thing won.
Only thing I got.
Whoa, Jamie Dick into the outside wall in turns 3 and 4, but keeps going. There's no caution. Scraped along that wall for a long way in 3 and 4.
I think it's a great non-call by NASCAR. What if they throw the caution?
What if there's some debris up there, though? You have to watch that. You never know.
Plenty of teams asking about it, huh?
I'm sure everybody except Chase Elliott sees that debris over there now, whether it's there or not.
This battle won't go away. Look at that. Strong up on the outside is Eric Jones, but he can't finish the deal.
Remember, over 100 laps on these tires for these guys here.
Chase Elliott just went by the start-finish line. 3 laps to go for the driver out of Georgia.
You know, we saw that cording on the 3 car. If a right front cords, and that's the first tire that usually goes, that's into the outside wall, we can have a caution here late. Hasn't happened yet, though.
Chase Elliott's done a great job of working through lap traffic. He'll see 2 laps to go as the battle for third rages on. The 6 of Darrell Wallace Jr., the 20 of Eric Jones.
Eric wants that spot bad. He's faster than Bubba. He just can't pull the pass off.
And now we do have a car in the wall back straightaway. One spinning across the track. Caution.
Oh,
Chase Elliott was a half a lap away from seeing the white flag. And now we're going to get overtime in Iowa.
Well, I think Chase has to stay out. Yeah, you heard Ernie Cope tell him we're staying out.
Save all you can.
Got to save a little. Chase is fine on fuel, but the rest of these guys, I think 2 tires is the call right now to try to get some track position. But we got to come in, don't we? We got to come in, put right side tires on.
Daniel Suarez jumps on pit road. Must have been out of gas. He's on pit road. That's a top.
You're coming to the light right there.
Bam.
Pit road is closed.
Yeah, that's a top 5 car that came to pit road. So that's 1 less car you'll have to restart behind. I like 4 tires, Phil.
Do you?
Yeah.
If I'm outside the top 5, Vince, what's going on?
Yeah, the 18 is out of gas. Yeah, they had to bring him in to get fuel, and you see several teams are going to be dealing with this issue, especially with the extra laps here with the green-white checker.
How hard is it to win one of these races? I mean, we've seen it all year long. I know that Denny Hamlin dominated and Brad Keselowski dominated, Joey Logano. These guys have had some good runs, but these things are so difficult.
Pit road still closed. Suarez ends up getting lapped on pit road here. I'm sure pit road will open. Brendan Gaughan is down on the apron of the racetrack trying to keep his car running. I think he's having trouble with fuel. See him down there?
Saw Chase Elliott's pit crew on the wall. We already heard, though, from Ernie Cope. We're planning to stay out here.
Pits will be open this time. You see Brandon Jones out in front of Brendan Gaughan. He's down on the flat. He may be having issues. The pace car really has the field slowed down now. They won't be able to coast from there if they run out of gas.
And I'm looking at Chris Buescher. He's got 4 or 5 lap cars between him and Darrell Wallace Jr. He comes down pit road. He will have the luxury probably of taking 4 and still being the first off the pit lane here.
I would get 4. I love 4 tires here. As much as they'd given up, they were over a second off.
If I'm Brian Scott, Brandon Jones, I'm going to put 2 on, try to get me some track position. Maybe I can haul him off.
Chase Elliott does stay out. Behind him, John West Townley, who will get the free pass. Chris Buescher leads everyone down. Pit stops that will set up a green-white checker finish at Iowa. Vince, what's happening?
Well, there's a lot of discussion between crew chief Chad Norris and driver Bubba Wallace. What do we do? Well, it's going to be right sides only. He said, please tighten me up on entry. So there's Wedge. Hermie.
The 60 of Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher hits its pit stall. It's going to be 2 tires, no adjustments down on the way for the 60 off pit road.
And that's a good call because they did not have near the advantage, the gap in front of Darrell Wallace Jr. when they came in. If he had taken 4, I think they would have lost some positions there, talking about Chris Buescher.
Did my man Ryan Blaney get 4 tires?
He got 4 tires. He's going to lose some track position, but he's going to have the freshest tires of all these guys in front of him. You see him coming out there alongside Brian Scott.
And we could get more than one green-white checker where those 4 tires could really pay off. I go back to Auto Club Speedway, Sprint Cup race, Team Penske driver Brad Keselowski. They got 4 tires. Didn't seem like the right thing to do. Got a couple of overtime sessions, and he was able to use those tires to get his first career win at NASCAR's top level. There you see Suarez behind the wall after running out of fuel.
Yeah, wasn't able to refire. He finally has got it fired now. He's able to back out on pit road, but he's lost a couple laps here. Going to really hurt him in the points as well as the finishing position.
Going to be 13 cars on the lead lap when we get the restart here.
Ryan Blaney's going to line up in the, looks like about the 7th or 8th position.
We've got Ryan Reed right now that did not pit. He inherited the 2nd position. That's the 16 car, one of the Roush Fenway cars. He elected to stay out on the racetrack. He's on the same strategy as Chase Elliott. Obviously no problem for fuel.
And that's a bit of a break for our leader, Chase Elliott. There's another jam car up there, if you will. The front row will be even on tires and will roll off even. You watch, though, Phil. As soon as they cross that start-finish line, the traction that the guys, even with the 2 tires, will have getting going will propel them to the inside and outside. Try to go around them on either side.
I'm not sure Chase Elliott can hold the lead by the time they get to turn 1 on this restart.
Not going to happen.
Go back to Daytona. Late race drama there. Ryan Reed involved. Able to get the victory. The only win of his career in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Got some help from his teammate Chris Buescher, who was right behind him.
How pretty was that?
Buescher going to be behind him on this restart, but I have a feeling he's not going to be pushing the 16 across the start-finish line.
That was the most amazing move by Ryan Reed to get the win at Daytona with the help from his teammate pushing. Like you said, Adam, different story here in Iowa.
Hey, 2nd row, we're going to have Chris Buescher and Eric Jones. You want to be on the inside or the outside in that 2nd row on this restart?
Well, considering that Ryan, wherever, I want to be wherever Chase Elliott goes. I don't think Reed gets as good a start as Chase, so I want to be able to have some momentum and get going. So if Chase chooses the outside, I want to be 4th. Chase takes the inside 3rd.
Yeah, he is the control card no matter what on this restart.
Thinking about Chase Elliott and Ryan Reed, they pitted at lap 179. With the extra laps we're adding here, they should still be fine in regard to fuel.
Oh, yeah, plenty fine. They'll all have at least 10, 15 laps of cushion, maybe even 20.
So they're lining up for the restart. Chase Elliott is going to choose the outside lane. Behind him will be Eric Jones. Inside, a couple of cars from the Roush Fenway organization. We talked about Ryan Reed. He also stayed out, restarting 2nd on the inside. Behind him, Chris Buescher. The guys in that 2nd row took 2 tires when they pitted, just like the guys in row 3, Darrell Wallace Jr. and Regan Smith.
We got overtime.
This is our second overtime of the weekend. We had it Friday night for the Camping World Truck Series.
Chase Elliott chose the outside. Eric Jones will line up behind him. Could be the advantage.
And where's Ryan Blaney? He's 2 cars back from Jones up on the outside as well. You watch. This truck has so many grooves. When they get to turn 1, we're going to use them all. Every one of them.
Chase Elliott, Ryan Reed up in front row. Row 2, Chris Buescher, Eric Jones. Row 3, Bubba Wallace, Regan Smith. We're not going to go this time. We're going to delay this restart one more lap.
I think that's a big break for Ryan Blaney. He's in the outside lane. He won't get blocked off when he gets to turn 1. He can go all the way to the high side and make some ground up there. Plus, Chase Elliott being the control car means the outside will move first. He could have a real shot at taking those 4 tires to victory lane.
Regan Smith is going to line up right in front of him. Maybe he goes to the top of the racetrack. He's got the same thing in mind, Michael.
It's going to get crowded, Phil.
Green, white checker.
And it's going to be
shootout.
good, Phil.
Got a 2-lap shootout here. A green, white checker finish. You come around, get a green flag lap. Next lap around the white, then the checkered flag. If the caution comes out before the race leader gets the white flag, we'll set them up and do it again. Up to 3 attempts at a green, white checker. And once the race leader gets the white flag, the next flag ends it, whether it's the caution or the checker. Should see 1 to go this time around. Mentioned those guys in the front 3 rows. Talked about Ryan Blaney, who restarts in the 8th position with those 4 fresh tires. What about Brandon Jones? He's 7th here. First career start for an 18-year-old. So impressive in practice in qualifying. He will restart in the 7th position. Brian Scott looking for his first career win inside the top 10, just like Elliott Sadler. And we remind you, as we've gone past 4:30 on the East Coast, coming up next on Fox Sports 1, it's Fox Sports Live.
And we're getting 1 to go now. I just don't know how Chase Elliott will be able to keep these new tires behind him. You know, with this 2-lap shootout, they pump the tires up. That qualifying air pressures in these tires, it's not going to be a low pressure situation.
Remember when I told you that if the caution doesn't fly, Chase wins, and if it does, he doesn't?
Yes.
He doesn't win. He can't win. These guys will get him in turn 1 if it takes them that long to get there. But how they do it and what Chase does to try to prevent it, that's what's going to be so fun to watch.
How much communication between spotters, Ryan Reed and Chris Buescher, their teammates? Reed's well aware of the tire situation. Do they know what the game plan is there?
I think he knows that Chris Buescher's going to go to the inside. He better leave him room because he's coming.
Here we go. First attempt at a green-white checker. Overtime for the NASCAR Xfinity Series here at Iowa.
My palms are sweating.
Chase Elliott outside Ryan Reed. Green flag back in the air. Look at Darrell Wallace Jr. fanning out of line. Chris Buescher inside of his teammate. Buescher going for the lead in turn 1.
Got a huge advantage on that inside. You see Ryan Reed in the middle of the racetrack blocking Eric Jones.
Darrell Wallace Jr. trying to get by Chase Elliott. Ryan Scott making it 3 wide. He restarted in the 9th position.
Great restart for Brian Scott. Chase Elliott now fighting his way back. He's behind Eric Jones.
White flag is out. Next flag ends it at Iowa. Chris Buescher about a half a mile away from his 2nd career win.
Ryan Blaney's hung up behind. He's not going to be able to use those 4 tires.
He got a win on the road course last summer at Mid-Ohio. He's impressed early in 2014. Here's his first win of the year. Chris Buescher, checkered flag, going to win it today at Iowa.
Woo! What a battle.
Awesome. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Nice job on pit road. Worked out perfect.
Yes, it did.
And a great effort by Chase Elliott on older tires to work hard and hold a bunch of those guys off.
Yeah, he drove as well as he could for the circumstances. An amazing 2nd place finish.
Yeah, for him to only lose that 1 spot was amazing. And I know that's not going to be much consolation for Chase Elliott. He did absolutely all he can do, but can't take it away from Chris Buescher. He had a great car this entire race. Chris Buescher led 95 laps in this one.
Full post-race coverage on the way from Iowa. First, we check in with the guys in Los Angeles. Cole and Don standing by there. We'll visit with Chris Buescher in Victory Lane in a moment on Fox Sports 1. Chris Buescher had a strong car all day long at Iowa. Led 95 laps, but needed a caution late so he could come down pit road and get some tires. Caution came out as we were coming to the white flag in regulation. We get a green-white checker. Overtime for the first time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Iowa, and it's Chris Buescher who's able to come back, get his first win of the year.
You know, it's turnabout's fair play. pushed his teammate to a win before. Let me jump around and get this one here. What a restart by Chris Buescher. This was a perfect situation for him. He knew that he had better tires. He knew he was going to dive to the bottom. He just had to make sure he didn't do it too soon.
The key was Ryan Reed got a really good restart. We thought he would be the one that really slipped because Chase Elliott was the control car. Ryan Reed had a great restart, and Chase Buescher took advantage of it.
Let's go to Vince Welsh.
Second place, no consolation for Chase Elliott today. A half a lap away from victory. How do you put that one into words?
Just racing some days, man. I hate it. That's hard to swallow, but Chris did a good job. Congrats to him. Our guys did a great job this weekend. Our Napa team was fast, and we were one of the better cars all day long. That's something to be proud of. So we're excited about that. And if we can continue to run like we did today, I feel like we would have some more opportunities.
What's going through your mind on that last restart when you knew those behind you had tires?
I just try to give it the best shot you can and just try not to wreck. I think you want to try to get a good run and stay out front, but those guys are coming so hard. You just want to try to salvage what you can, and if you can beat them, obviously beat them, but you don't want to put yourself in a worse position and get yourself in trouble. So just try to make the most of it.
Not what he wanted, but a heck of a second place finish for Chase Elliott.
Led the most laps today. Did the driver that won the championship a year ago. 114 laps out front. You see him debriefing here with crew chief Ernie Cope. They made that good call after hitting the wall to come down and get tires, and it almost worked out for him.
It was a race-winning call if we go one half more lap before that caution comes out.
But don't you love Chase Elliott's attitude? He didn't complain about the caution flying. He said that's racing. That's the way it goes sometimes. Not only does he have a great attitude, but the way he powered through those last couple of laps to come up with a second-place finish, those are the things that win you championships.
Regan Smith ends up outside the top 10. 13 cars on the lead lap at the end of the day.
Ty Dillon ends up 14th after a green flag pit stop late.
Here's the rest of the finishers today at Iowa. Brennan Poole comes home in the 38th position. So good yesterday, practice and qualifying, but wrecked early in the race, and unfortunately never had an opportunity to come back and get it done. Let's go to Victory Lane and Hermie Sadler.
Well, here he is, Adam. Chris Buescher in Victory Lane. Career win number 2. Congratulations from his crew guys. Chris, I can't imagine the range of emotions you went through in those last 100 laps. You're out front, leading. The 9 gets tires, comes and passes you on the racetrack. Then you come back, get tires, and go back to Victory Lane. Explain what went through your mind those last 15, 20 laps and that last restart.
Yeah, that was awesome. This Roush Performance Ford Mustang was amazing. These guys did so good. We knew we were fast this weekend. We had it. We had a good race car the whole time, so just can't thank Ford enough. Eco Power and all these fans out here coming out to Iowa. This is one of the best races we come to for fan count, and we love seeing them all come out here. So that was nerve-wracking at the end. We knew we were really good, and we just had to have something fall our way, and it did there. And we got those tires on that Chase had gotten a little earlier, and we were able to get going on that restart. So.
The race ultimately came down to a restart. What was your plan coming to get that last restart, and did it play out the way you anticipated?
It went better. We were really hoping to be able to pull it off like that, and we knew that the front row had older tires, so it came out really well. We were able to get to the bottom and drive away on right sides. Scott did a great job on pit calls today, and this pit crew was phenomenal. We were awesome on pit road, so it's been a tough year for us. This is awesome though. Trying to get sponsorship aboard. We've had Cheez-It, Roush Performance, Bit of Honey, Wiley X, all these people that have come on board and supported us, and we're just hunting that big one to take us all the way to and get that championship.
Well, if somebody's watching, he's in Victory Lane and he's atop of the point standings. Vince?
Eric Jones finishes 3rd today after starting from the rear of the field, and if you saw his car all down the right side, looked like it was more of a demolition derby than an actual race today. How would you characterize the day in general coming from the back, and then at the end of that last restart, you're starting on the outside of row 2?
Yeah, honestly, I wish we had more laps. When you come from the back like that, it kind of hinders your ability to really adjust on the car, but we had a good Interstate All-Battery Center Camry. It just wasn't quite good enough at the end. I thought we were in a good position to restart on the top there and try to make a run at it, but if I could do it over, I wish it would have been 3rd and just been able to go to the bottom like 60 did. But we gave ourselves a shot, and that's really all you can ask for in these races. But it's just tough racing here in the day. We all kind of migrated to the top, and that makes it pretty tough on everybody to make any kind of passes. But not a bad day overall. I'm pretty proud of these guys, and they worked really hard to get this thing good. And like I said, we gave ourselves a shot.
The rear of the field to a third-place finish, Eric Jones.
Ends up in the third spot, about as high as he was in the running order all day long. Certainly a great effort by Eric coming from the rear of the field. We update our championship points. 10 races into the season. New man out front. Chris Buescher now 8 in front of Ty Dillon.
Yeah, Chase Elliott gains a little bit of ground. He's in third. Bubba Wallace only 37 points back. Brian Scott, another top 5 finish. He gains a spot.
Tough break for Daniel Suarez. Led 48 laps, had a top 5 car. Loses a spot in the points.
Let's go back to Vince Welch.
Brian Scott started, I think, 9th on that last restart and ended up bringing it home 4th. I'll just summarize this day today. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a lot of fun here in Iowa to have an Xfinity standalone event, and for all the fans to come out and support us like they always do out here is so great. I was disappointed. Our Charlotte Chevrolet, I really felt like was going to be better based on how we practiced and everything we had. It's just, the sun coming in and out and the long green flag runs, we just didn't have the rear grip. So we're going to work on that when we come back. And that was exciting at the end. We debated 2 tires or 4. 2 tires would have got us better track position, but I felt like 4 tires was the play, and guys did a great job. It's too bad green, white, checkers aren't green, a lap, then white and checkers, because it was going to start getting interesting.
4th place for Brian Scott.
Solid top 5 effort there. Final thoughts as we wrap it up from Iowa.
From where I was sitting, it got really interesting anyway. That was a great finish and a great job by Chase Elliott and Chris Buescher.
Yeah, Chris Buescher had a great race car. He certainly deserved to win. Chase Elliott was going to get it had the caution not come out.
We'll see you next Saturday in Charlotte. Now we're going to Los Angeles. Fox Sports Live.